A programmer who died suddenly after working overtime came to a cultivation world, carrying 2 exquisite gems and various treasures, elixirs, and secret techniques. See how he stands on his own and relies solely on one person to pacify the world. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. 001 Drowning, Sinking and Floating. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Fan felt a great pain in his head, as if it was about to crack open. There is a lot of water, as if all around is water. Cough cough, Li Fan finally woke up from his coma. Junior brother you, wake up, wake up. A young man who appeared to be 17 or 18 years old, holding a boy covered in water marks, shook his body, and pinched people, but he never woke up. Purple Kite, feed him a awakening pill. A cold voice sounded, as if it were a heavenly sound. The speaker was a young girl dressed in white clothes, looking around 20 years old, with fair and rosy skin. She held a long sword embedded with gemstones in her hand, and her expression appeared calm. Yes, Senior Sister Bai, said the girl named Ziyuan, who was only 17 or 18 years old. She took out a porcelain bottle from her arms, poured out a green pill, and squatted next to the drowning boy. Junior brother Wang, could you please help me open his mouth? The young man holding the boy agreed, holding his body with his right hand and pulling his chin down with his left hand. The boy's jaw immediately opened. The girl saw this and immediately threw the green pill into the boy's mouth. Then use your hands to support the boy's jaw. In less than a quarter of an hour, the boy slowly woke up. He coughed and spat out several large mouthfuls of pool water. My mind is very dull. At a glance, I saw the young man in front of me and the senior sister named Ziyuan. Where is this? Li Fan muttered to himself, wasn't he just sitting in front of the computer programming? How come we're here again? Where is this again? Li Fan felt that the people in front of him were very unfamiliar, even the scenery in front of him was very unfamiliar. Why are these people in front of me still wearing ancient costumes? Damn, is it acting? Or is it dreaming? Oh, my head hurts so much. Ziyuan, let him rest well and come to the lobby tomorrow to answer. After saying these words, Senior Sister Bai stopped looking at this place and turned around and left on her own. Yes, Senior Sister Bai, the resource bowed and replied. Junior brother you, are you okay? The young man shook Li Fan and asked. You. Junior brother you. Li Fan felt a wave of depression in his heart. Why, wasn't he dreaming? I touched the young man's clothes with my hand and felt his temperature. When I wiped it, it turned out to be real. What's wrong with me? To be honest, Li Fan was just working overtime in the company. The project is going to undergo internal testing tomorrow, and he needs to work hard to complete the program for upgrading the weapon system. He didn't want to invest more and more in the program, but later on, his eyes darkened and he knew nothing. Did I have an accident? This is the first idea that came to Li Fan's mind. What did they call me, junior brother you, wearing such strange clothes? And this is not my body. Li Fan finally realized the seriousness of the problem. He seems to have traveled through it. Brother you, can you still walk? Brother you. The young man surnamed Wang showed concern when he saw Li Fan wake up, but then he saw Li Fan's weak appearance and was very worried. Lin Feng just asked him where this was, but thinking about it, it would be very dangerous if someone found out that he was strange. The situation is unclear, let's take a look and see. As soon as my eyes closed and my head tilted, I suddenly fainted again. Ziyuan saw that Li Fan had fainted again and thought to herself, junior brother you must have been drowning for a long time. Surprisingly, the awakening pill cannot work. He said to the young man surnamed Wang, junior brother Wang, please carry him back first. Yes, senior sister Ziyuan. The young man surnamed Wang was taken aback at the words, but then he happily carried Li Fan on his back and followed Ziyuan and the others up the mountain. When Lin Fan pretended to be unconscious, there were thousands of thoughts flashing in his mind. He was likely to have really traveled. Although he was too afraid to admit this reality, but looking at it from another perspective, I have grown up reading martial arts novels since I was young, and I also have a heart that yearns for the world of martial arts. Since I have come. He only studied programming for his work on Earth due to personal reasons. Then I joined the company and worked tirelessly. After leaving, I had to work overtime. 996, I heard that many young IT programmers in the same industry died suddenly due to continuous overtime. At this moment, Li Fan probably guessed what had happened to his physical body on Earth. But the truly strange thing is, he didn't go to the underworld with his divine soul, as the legend goes, but came to this unique world of cultivation. Moreover, the divine soul was reincarnated into the body of a cultivator. This is really unbelievable. Although it is a good world of immortality and chivalry, how should we live when others are unfamiliar with their place of birth? Moreover, in the world of immortality and chivalry, it is generally the strong who dominate, and there are also many fierce and domineering cult figures. There is no modern legal concept here. Maybe I don't even know how to die in the wild, but what should I do then? Thinking about it, he couldn't help but worry about his future life problems, but I heard that there are immortal methods and spells in this world. Is there still a lot of martial arts to learn, and these Wang senior brothers and the Purple Kite world all seem to be decent people. Perhaps there is still hope for survival. It shouldn't be a big problem, right? If you act more carefully and be more obscene, you may not be able to survive. And there are many new things in this world. I died before getting married in my previous life. This Baoling senior sister looks like she's only 20 years old, and she really has a temperament. If he accidentally finds one or two secret books or treasures, and trains them into unparalleled immortal martial arts, then he will develop here. There are as many golden beauties as there are, and he can still enjoy being a great hero. Haha, how great is that! After understanding this point, the fear and panic in Li Fan's heart disappeared. In the world of martial arts, one can practice martial arts, while in the world of immortality, one can practice spells. As long as one has high martial arts skills, what kind of kitchen knife are they afraid of? Anyway, I'm already dead. What are you afraid of? No big deal, die again. It's better to treat this as a game and experience the martial arts world, see what wind, flowers, moon, and snow are, and what it means to love, hate, and hate Gaga. These days are definitely more exciting and interesting than when he becomes a programming ape. Thinking about it, Li Fan's heart slowly became lively, and even a little excited. Just now I heard those people say that his body has drowned. I think so, otherwise no one would swim into the water to play, but the specific causes and consequences are completely beyond his memory. If anyone asks, how can they answer? This question made him a bit worried because he was afraid that if he didn't answer well, he would be discovered as the secret of the traveler. Although Li Fan has also read several novels about time travel on Earth, it is not the same thing that it really happened to him. Many male protagonists in novels will remember some memories of their bodies after crossing to a different world, but Li Fan's time travel body is empty and white. He tried hard to remember some things, but there was nothing in his hair. Damn it, is this guy's brain flooded? It must have drowned out. Li Fan thought to himself. After a journey, senior brother Wang's physical strength was obviously weak, so he had to stop to take a breath when he walked a few steps. Li Fan took this opportunity to secretly observe the mountain, and found that there was a mountain gate not far away. In fact, it was a large stone memorial archway, with 3 large golden characters engraved in the middle. Xian Jizong. There seemed to be 2 couplets next to it, but Li Fan didn't dare to take a closer look. Junior brother Wang, it's almost here. Are you okay? The senior sister named Ziyuan suddenly turned around and asked. Li Fan's heart skipped a beat in fear and quickly closed his eyes. Don't worry, senior sister. It's not a big deal, the senior brother surnamed Wang replied, panting heavily. Then it seemed that senior sister Ziyuan didn't speak anymore, and Wang might continue to walk up the mountain with difficulty. Li Fan just heard it, and the purple kite said, "It's almost here, it should be the place where we live." It's terrible. If they don't quickly recall their memories, if they have any doubts, they may reveal their crumbs. Li Fan wanted to quickly recall the memories inside this body, but even though he racked his brains a bit, his head hurt and he still didn't remember anything. Damn it, Li Fan felt depressed for a moment. It seems that this guy has lost his memory, while falling into the water also cause amnesia. It is possible that Li Fan saw an article on Earth that popularized medical knowledge, stating that accidents, falls from heights, or drowning could all cause brain concussion or psychogenic amnesia symptoms. Perhaps the body of the Yu surname that Li Fan traveled through also had the same problem. However, even if this situation is possible, he cannot actually prove it, and he is not a doctor. Even if he knows the cause of amnesia, he cannot treat it. This is really a feeling of being pitted. You must speak less and observe more later. Li Fan reminded himself in his heart, and after finishing, he smiled helplessly. What else should I do? Did you tell them that I suddenly passed away here while working on the overtime code program at the company? Oh, it seems like I can only pretend to have amnesia. Oh, no, it's really amnesia. This section of the mountain road is also 300 to 400 meters long. The young man was panting heavily on his back, looking quite tired. Li Fan felt a little guilty in his heart, but in fact, he was not completely unable to walk. He only pretended to be unconscious again to avoid being questioned or noticed by them. Unexpectedly, he was tired of this young man surnamed Wang. Anyway, Li Fan felt that he owed him a favor. If he could survive, he would have to repay this young man. He looks like a person with a fairly pure heart. Finally climbed to the residence located halfway up the mountain. The young man surnamed Wang put Li Fan down and bent down, panting heavily. Junior brother Wang, you've worked hard. Ziyuan glanced at the young man surnamed Wang and said, since junior brother Yu shares the same dormitory with you, you can take care of him. When he regains consciousness, you can inform me and senior sister by again. Yes, sister Ziyuan. The young man surnamed Wang turned around and agreed as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. After senior sister Ziyuan left, the young man surnamed Wang slowly regained his composure, then moved Li Fan's body onto the bed, straightened it out, covered it with a blanket, and walked out. Li Fan secretly glanced at him and saw that he had walked away. He began to carefully examine the surroundings. Oh, this place was dirty and black, just a very small room. One of the rooms inside seemed to be a kitchen, and here he lay, it was a larger aisle. There was a bed against the wall, with doors open on both sides, which were interconnected. There were miscellaneous items everywhere on both sides of the bed. Water tanks, sauce tanks, old cabinets, and even firewood. There were also a few randomly laid bluestone slabs on the ground, and they were also covered with stove ash and soil. Damn it, Li Fan is really unhappy with the environment. He said that the body of Yu is too miserable, isn't it? Even worse than when he was a programmer. I suddenly felt a little disappointed in my heart. Why did someone travel, either to become a princess or a crown prince, or to be a seemingly useless but actually rebellious descendant of a noble family, while I could only travel to such a poor and dilapidated place to become an ordinary disciple? He felt like a basin of cold water was pouring down in his heart, dissipating most of his excitement about this immortal world just now. However, he can't go back to Earth now either. He died suddenly. Here, at least he has a second life. Although he is a bit disappointed with the current situation of life, it's better to live than to die. If he works hard in the future, maybe he can change this situation. And it seems that the senior brother surnamed Wang, as well as the senior sister Ziyuan, are very friendly to people. If you encounter difficulties and ask them for help, living should not be a problem. As for the future, we can only take a look and say more. He doesn't know why he came here, should there be some special reason. Oh, forget it, let's just take it as a way to see the scenery, it's also quite good. Just thinking about it, he felt someone coming and immediately lay down again. Make a semi-unconscious appearance. Ah, junior brother you're awake. The young man just walked into the room carrying a bowl of ginger soup. Emotion was just going to dig ginger from behind to cook soup for him. Cough cough, Li Fan dared not answer, so he pretended to be sick and coughed a few times by touching his chest before covering up the crisis. Hey, hurry up, drink this bowl of ginger tea soup. Senior brother Wang patted Li Fan's back and handed him a bowl of warm ginger soup. Ginger tea soup. What is that thing? However, Li Fan also knew that he shouldn't have come to harm him. He reached out to take it and handed the bowl back to his senior brother surnamed Wang. Senior brother Wang took the bowl and asked, Junior brother are you feeling better now? You really scared me half to death just now. Li Fan didn't know how to answer, just nodded as he looked at him. The meaning is that I am much better now. Li Fan is afraid to speak much now because he doesn't know what the relationship between the person in front of him and his current body is. Although he felt in his heart that the senior brother surnamed Wang in front of him was very nice, he couldn't recall anything about their relationship at all, so he didn't dare to speak recklessly. However, it shouldn't be a problem to always say nothing. Since he calls himself junior brother calling him senior brother Wang is probably not bad, right? Anyway, it's all like this, give it a try. Li Fan wants to collapse. If it doesn't work, hurry up and pretend to be sick again, just say that water has entered your brain, cough 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 cough. When Li Fan thought of this, he finally mustered up the courage and whispered to him with a slightly ambiguous tone, Thank you, senior brother Wang. After speaking, he secretly observed senior brother Wang's expression with the corner of his eye, and it seemed that there was no special reaction at all. This result excited Li Fan very much. It seems that this cultivation world is not so difficult to navigate, as long as you think carefully, you can still handle it. In this moment, his confidence regained, and although the spirit inside his body belonged to Li Fan, the sound emitted by this body was entirely the voice of the young male cultivator surnamed Yu. This frightened Li Fan himself. How did his voice turn into this? Seeing Li Fan take the ginger soup and slowly finish it, the young man surnamed Wang was also happy. He said, the weather is still in early September, and there is already a slight chill. That's why he specially made some ginger soup. Brother Yu, how do you feel after drinking it? I feel much better now. Li Fan said slowly. I dare not say too much, afraid of any grammar flaws being caught. After saying this sentence, I won't say it anymore. I lowered my head. Then I can rest assured. You can lie down well first when I bring you some clean clothes to change, then burn a pot of fire to dispel the cold. Good. Li Fan smiled and nodded. In no time, senior brother Wang brought a full pot of red charcoal fire to his room and asked Li Fan to bake his body. Li Fan looked at the bright red charcoal fire, and both his body and mind slowly became warm. I don't know why, but a feeling of family rose in his heart. It has been several years since he left his parents and went to work in the big city, without such a warm feeling. He doesn't have a girlfriend, nor do he have many close friends. Except for returning home once a year during the Chinese New Year, he always faces a lonely heart and spiritual world. Li Fan was a bit moved in his heart, feeling that ancient people were not without merit. At least their human nature was still strong, which gave him the idea of living a good life in this world. 002 Merit Jade Plaque. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Unconsciously, it was evening when Li Fan changed into dry clothes and ate some of the meals brought by senior brother Wang, feeling much better than before. To be honest, he was very grateful to senior brother Wang for his first meeting, but he couldn't say too much because he was afraid that saying too much would reveal the truth, so he would rather not say it. But he also knew that this was not possible for a long time, and the state of amnesia would eventually be detected by him. So, it's better to find an appropriate time to talk to him about this matter, so that it won't be too sudden. If the senior brothers, sisters, or even the master asks, he also has a personal ID. Because he did indeed lose his memory after drowning. After dinner, senior brother Wang closed the door early, brought a small table, lit an oil lamp, and started reading. Li Fan saw his serious expression, and dared not disturb him. He secretly glanced at the book he was reading. It turned out to be a Taoist secret called Introduction to Xianmen 9 Fingers. Although Li Fan had read some martial arts books in his previous life, they were all plain vernacular. Suddenly, he saw this ancient book filled with traditional Chinese, and the layout was still from top to bottom, from right to left, which was even more confusing. I originally wanted to try my intelligence and see if I could understand this book, but after carefully reading 2 lines, I suddenly felt a severe headache and finally gave up. Lying in bed obediently. Ah! How do you understand this sentence? The holy way can be achieved but not expected. Senior brother Wang looked puzzled and conflicted. Hey, senior uncle said that I don't have much education, my talent is low, and I won't have any great achievements in my life. If it weren't for my master's kindness towards me, I might not even be able to stay at this mountain gate. This short entry to the 9 fingers of the Xianmen sect has taken me 3 years to fully comprehend. Li Fan looked at Wang Mai's dejected expression and felt sorry for his brother for a few seconds. He thought to himself that the culture of this foreign world may not be widespread, and there should be many poor people who have not read books. The information is not smooth, and they cannot search and interpret on Baidu like modern people on earth. Moreover, disciples with low talent do not have a master to guide them hand in hand, so of course, progress is slow. However, senior brother Wang Mai is a very good person. Thanks to his care, Li Fan brought tea and water to himself, cooked clothes in a fire basin, and even brought food. He doesn't have any reserved or arrogant demeanor in his personality. In the eyes of earthlings, he is probably a good person. However, this is the realm of cultivating immortals. Just being a better person does not necessarily lead to any achievements, and one must also have a certain level of intelligence and talent. Thinking of this, Li Fan suddenly mustered up the courage and said, Senior brother Wang, can you lend me this book to read? Brother Wang turned around and glanced at Li Fan, feeling a bit strange. Brother you drowned today. It's better to rest more. Don't waste your energy on me. Hey, senior brother Wang, I don't know why. I feel like I've become smarter after drowning. Let me take a look at your book. Li Fan said sincerely. Although senior brother Wang was a bit skeptical, seeing the sincere expression on his face, he still handed over the Introduction to the Xianmen 9 Fingers to him. Li Fan continued to read from the sentence he said, the holy way can never be achieved. I saw that what was said above was. The holy path can be achieved but not achieved, and inaction cannot be described as such. Everyone has me, without me, they are precious, everyone is prepared for me, with me, they are crazy. Li Fan was confused, but since he volunteered to help him take a look, he couldn't give up so quickly, so he gritted his head and continued to read. As he was looking at the text, his brain suddenly experienced a severe dizziness, and his vision gradually blurred. The time and space around Li Fan seemed to suddenly stop, and his eyes saw a green sign slowly appearing and rising inside his body in his heart. Then my spiritual consciousness seemed to be attracted by the green sign, and with a whoosh, I ran into my body. Suddenly, an old and peaceful voice sounded around. This is a merit Jade plaque, which can examine all things and values related to cultivation in the entire fantasy world. The heavenly Tao is void, the earthly Tao is solid, and humanity can be both virtual and real. People become gods and Buddhas through merit, and they also fall into ghost gates through karma. There is no door to good or evil, only people can summon themselves. Although there are differences in heaven and earth, and there is a way of good and evil in the Jade Plaque, there are all sorts of phenomena, which is a small universe. The spirit of the Jade Plaque is the Jade spirit of year-round cultivation, and she will explain to you any incomprehension. Although the world is different, she will explain it to you. Great, it's hard to obtain immortality. It's not easy to obtain it, but it's easy to lose it. You can take it easy. After saying these things, Laozi's voice slowly faded away. Unexpectedly, I didn't even see a personal image. There's no more text left. Damn it, what is this? Li Fan felt a wave of depression in his heart. Is this the legendary adventure? But strangely enough, this old man didn't see anything except for the sound displayed. And what's even more strange is that this green jade plaque actually appears from within one's own body, rather than as a magic weapon appearing outside. Li Fan thought for a while, but couldn't remember seeing such a scene in any fantasy book on Earth. It's really weird. Hey, forget it, let's just ignore it. Anyway, I have already died once. In his life as a programmer, he died from excessive use of his brain. He finally became a human again and didn't want to think about such meaningless questions anymore. By the way, what did the old man say about the Jade Plaque and the Jade Spirit? Is it this green brand? Let me try and see if it's true. Li Fan's divine soul carefully scrutinized the Jade Plaque, not to mention, standing in front of it, Li Fan felt really insignificant. This Jade Plaque is as high as 30 Li Fan, with a width of about 10 Li Fan. As for its thickness, it is also as thick as 5 Li Fan. My goodness, such a big piece of jade. If it were placed on Earth, how much would it cost? Li Fan couldn't help but sigh. He has never seen such a big real jade before. Bad guy. You know how much money you have? Suddenly, a young girl's voice rang out. Li Fan looked around and saw no one, surprised. Who is it, who is talking? Come out. Li Fan waited for a while, but there was no movement. Li Fan was puzzled for a moment and thought to himself, who is it? Can it be that Jade Spirit? Didn't the old man just say that there is a Jade Spirit who has been practicing for years in the Jade Plaque? If you don't understand, you can ask her. But can a person who has practiced a lot still be a child? However, who stipulates that Yuling cannot be a little girl? Hey, no matter what, let me give it a try first and see. Lin Fan cautiously circled around the Merit Jade Plaque twice, but didn't see any signs. Suddenly, he kicked it hard on the Merit Jade Plaque. Curse and say, hey, get out of here. Bastard. How dare you kick me? Suddenly, the predecessor of a 6.7-year-old girl emerged from the middle of the Merit Jade Plaque, looking extremely cute. Li Fan was first surprised when he saw it, and then immediately realized that this should be what the old man called the Jade Spirit, but he didn't expect it to be such a small child. However, it is also possible that looking young may not necessarily mean being young in reality. However, Li Fan really liked her cute appearance and couldn't help teasing her, saying, "Didn't you hear that old man just now? It's your responsibility to explain to me how to use the Jade Plaque. If you don't want to come out, of course I'll hit you." Humph, hitting someone is bullying, I don't want to talk to people like you. The little girl turned her head and had an angry expression, but being angry also seemed a bit funny. Ah, you were the one who scolded me first. If you want to bully someone, you are also the one who bullied me first. Lin Fan argued logically. Who made you want to sell me for money? Big bad guy. The little girl exclaimed angrily. Surprisingly, it was because of this that Li Fan felt speechless in his heart. He just said it out of his mouth, but he didn't expect this little girl to take it seriously. Well, it's important now, so let's not argue with her anymore. Because he didn't know if this place would lose time, otherwise he would have been in a daze in front of senior brother Wang for so long, which would have scared him. Ha, are you the Jade spirit? I can't argue with you about what happened just now, but you need to tell me how to use this merit card. Li Fan smiled. Humph, I won't tell you. The little girl hugged her chest with both hands, looking indifferent. What? Li Fan became angry upon hearing this. Such a little girl's movie, she even had a grudge against me. Moreover, she refused to say it, probably because she had kicked her Jade card before. This is public revenge for personal gain. Thinking of this, Li Fan also felt a bit uncomfortable. You've figured it out. The old man just said it, and you will be responsible for explaining it in detail. If you don't help me, I'll go ask him directly. The little girl's face suddenly became reserved. A pair of big eyes looked around and realized that there was actually no figure of the old man mentioned by Li Fan, so her expression became more natural. Ha ha ha, when Li Fan saw all of this in his eyes, he chuckled inwardly. Originally, this little girl was afraid of the old man who was talking. This time, she caught the nail on the head and was afraid that she wouldn't serve her well. Speak up. I'm telling the old man not to come here. If you don't tell me the usage of the Jade plaque, I'll call out the old man and spank you. Hee hee. Li Fan was so happy playing that he completely forgot that this little girl was not a few years old, but a few thousand years old, maybe even longer. The little girl became a bit scared when she heard these words, and looked at Li Fan reluctantly. What do you want to ask? So, my time is limited. If I ask and you answer well, I'll have the old man reward you. If you don't answer well, I'll have him spank you. Do you know? Humph. The little girl gave Li Fan a serious disdain and turned her head to one side. It seems that Li Fan's words were also accepted by default. Let me ask, Li Fan thought for a moment. What should I ask? First, let's ask how to use the Merit Jade plaque. I heard that the Merit Jade plaque can check a person's merit, so what is the greatest role of merit? The little girl chuckled at the words and said, don't you even know such a simple question? The Merit Jade plaque is connected to a person's mind and spirit. If you do good deeds, he will increase his merit, but if you do bad deeds, he will decrease his merit. In simple terms, merit is like the money of a practitioner. Doing good deeds will earn more money, and doing bad deeds will earn less money. Let me be a liar. Li Fan was bewildered. Merit is money. If you told me in my previous life that I could get money for doing good deeds, I might have been a model worker and a living lay phone. Don't you believe it? The little girl seemed a bit angry and proud upon hearing this. This was the first time Lin Feng had seen this expression on her face, a feeling of a little adult. Try it yourself. How can I try it? Li Fan was curious. Apart from this Jade spirit, he didn't know anything else about it, not even how to check his merits. Put your hand on the Jade plaque, said the little girl. And then what? After waiting for 2 seconds, nothing happened. Stupid. The little girl started to get angry again for some reason. Use your mind to control it. To be honest, you want to check the Merit Jade plaque. Oh, I want to check the merit cards, I want to check the merit cards, shouted twice, but there was still no movement. Li Fan felt depressed and thought to himself that this thing was useless. Humph, you're such an unlucky man, the little girl said disdainfully. Li Fan felt a bit uncomfortable now. What? Are you scolding me? Be careful, I'll go call that old man back again. Hurry up, what's going on? When the little girl heard that Li Fan was going to call out to the old man, she shrank her neck in fear and whispered, my sister said that only sincere people can open it. If you can't open it, it won't work. Your sister, who is your sister? She also has an older sister. Li Fan was also the first to hear it, but suddenly his interest in her sister was even greater than the Jade plaque in front of him. Humph. The little girl twisted her head and completely penetrated into the Jade plaque, unable to come out no matter how much Li Fan shouted. Damn, I'm still an immortal, so irresponsible. Li Fan had no choice but to roast, but then he was speechless. Because he suddenly realized that he only paid attention to her sister, completely forgetting that he was still in the realm of divine spirits, while his external body was staring at a book. If he is in a daze for too long, there is a possibility that he may be misunderstood by senior brother Wang Mai, and something big may happen. As soon as Li Fan thought of this, he became serious and stopped playing around. This time, he honestly placed his hand on the jade plaque. This time, he no longer had a messy heart and sincerely only wanted to feel the energy of the jade plaque. 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, and 10 seconds passed without any movement. After shaking again, about 2 minutes passed again. Boom! Suddenly, a huge sound echoed in his ear, causing Li Fan's entire body to tremble slightly. He quickly opened his eyes and saw that the merit jade plaque was emitting a myriad of brilliant green lights, illuminating several tens of meters of space around him, illuminating everything. Meanwhile, Li Fan, who was in the midst of it, felt warm all over his body and seemed to hear countless tiny sentient beings' voices in the green light. It wasn't until the green light decayed and the range became about 3 meters that Li Fan suddenly remembered that he wanted to check his merit value. In the green light, a screen hung out of thin air with various information about Li Fan written on it. Li Fan carefully looked at the green screen. Li Fan, formerly known as a programming ape in a certain technology company, worked hard and studied hard throughout his life. He was diligent and frugal in managing his family, and showed filial piety to his parents. He never made a big mistake, but also showed no great kindness. One day, due to overwork, he died suddenly. After his death, he directly borrowed his body to revive himself and was reincarnated into the world of Sumru. Based on his past and present experiences, he has a merit value of 5,000 points. Comment. For an ordinary person, cultivating immortality is both magical and advanced. Fortunately, it has a great background and a deep foundation. If one uses methods such as doing good deeds and enduring humiliation, combined with hard work and diligence, their future achievements may not necessarily reach the level of a golden immortal. Damn it, Li Fan looked at the evaluation with a black line on his face. Is this at least my life experience, okay? It turns out I'm just an ordinary person. Oh, but forget it, I guess it's true. In the past, life was just an ordinary person earning a salary. I didn't sympathize with anyone, nor did I do anything big wrong. Oh, it seems really ordinary, even a bit plain. However, according to this comment, is it possible for me to eventually become a golden immortal? But what stage is this golden immortal at, and how is it compared to immortals? He's not sure, and what's the use of this merit value? How should we use it again? A bunch of problems. Hey, Ling, come out for me. Li Fan had no choice but to shout for a while, but his hands trembled and he felt pain from tapping. There was no movement on the surface or inside of the jade plaque. Just as he didn't know what to do, Li Fan suddenly heard someone shouting above his head, "Junior brother you. Junior brother you. What's wrong with you?" He could still feel a slight shake in his body. It seems that senior brother Wang Mai felt something was wrong when he saw Li Fan's long period of trance. Li Fan also panicked. Senior brother Wang may be in a hurry, but how will he go back? I completely don't know, what should we do? Li Fan had no choice but to know that the situation was urgent, because if senior brother Wang shouted for half a day and couldn't wake him up, he might go to find other senior brothers and sisters overnight to investigate. At that time, the fact that he had borrowed his body to revive his soul might be exposed. Li Fan still couldn't imagine the consequences. Even if they weren't exposed, the various troubles he had to deal with were inevitable. So, Li Fan really panicked a bit and wanted his spirit to go back quickly. Hello. Xiaoyuling. Hurry up. Help me go back. When senior brother Wang discovers something is wrong, maybe he will expose my affairs, and then I won't be able to handle it. Say something, are you there? After shouting 5 or 6 times like this, Xiaoling, a girl with a bit of conscience, suddenly poked a head out of the merit Jade plaque and said, just like before, all you need to do is think in your heart, go back quickly, and your heart will be sincere. Oh, Li Fan laughed at the words and realized that this was enough. Quickly clasp your hands together and pray with the same sincerity as when you opened the Jade plaque before. After a while, he felt a mysterious and powerful force suddenly lift his divine soul up and quickly rise. With only about one breath, he opened his eyes. You junior brother, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Wang's senior brother saw him engrossed in reading, suddenly his expression froze and he didn't move. He thought it had nothing to do with this afternoon's water crisis, so he was scared and quickly shouted while shaking his body. Sure enough, after shaking for a while, Li Fan woke up. Otherwise, he really didn't know what had happened, and he might have gone to the mountain all night to call out. Ah, senior brother Wang, Li Fan was moved when he saw his caring expression. It's okay. I just realized a profound sentence just now, so I was too engrossed. Ah. Oh, this is it huh, it scared me to death. I wonder what kind of evil did you get after drowning today. Senior brother Wang saw that his expression had returned to normal when he spoke. It was only then that he was relieved. After a moment of thought, he became interested in Li's profound understanding of the mind technique again. Junior brother you, please tell me, what secret of the mind technique have you all grasped? You have been so engrossed and serious. Oh, it's not really that big of a deal, Li Fan originally just casually said, hoping that senior brother Wang Mai wouldn't pay so much attention to his trance. However, it's strange to say that since it was washed and nourished by the millions of green lights emitted by those merit Jade plaques, he actually found that his intelligence seemed to have improved, and he also gained some understanding of the mental techniques in that Xianmen 9-finger secret scripture. Originally, Li Fan was just casually deceiving people, but now it has become true. Li Fan simply picked up the book and explained the above principles to Wang Mai. What does this sentence, the holy way cannot be achieved in time, mean, and what does this sentence, inaction cannot be described, mean? They are all said in an orderly manner, and even the head is the way. Wang Mai is almost dumbfounded, but Li Fan dare not express himself too much, fearing that senior brother Wang Mai may become suspicious. Therefore, after explaining for 2 or 3 sentences, he will not say more. Despite this, Wang Mai was already very excited to hear it. After hearing it, he directly gave Li Fan, that junior brother you, a few firm hugs to express his joy. People who have read books are different from us. I said you were much stronger than me, senior brother Wang smiled happily. Oh, it's just a coincidence that I understood. Li Fan didn't dare to say anything else, so he humbly said 1 or 2 words. Then the two of them chatted for a while until they yawned incessantly and finally blew the lamp to sleep. Li Fan fell asleep quickly because he had just drowned today and his physical strength was a bit weak. 003 Baoling Sister. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The next morning when Li Fan woke up, senior brother Wang had already gotten up to chop wood, fetch water, and cook. Li Fan also understood the position and status of his body in the sect from various small conversations yesterday. Originally, they were the lowest level named disciples of the Xuanji sect, also known as lay disciples. They may not be as good as the outer disciples who were just starting out, because if the beginners showed outstanding talents in all aspects, they would also be promoted to various sects, that is, 3rd class, 2nd class, or even 1st class elite disciples, practicing excellent martial arts. However, such named disciples are generally only called upon as miscellaneous servants within the sect, such as Wang Mai and him. They are due to their low talent, shallow foundation, and ordinary background, without the support of immortals. It can be said that there are no suitable timing, geography, or people, and they can only be called upon by the sect in the end. Use it as various close handymen. And the place where they work and live is just a gatekeeper for a knowledgeable guest near the foot of the mountain. There are two gatehouses like this, one on the mountainside and the other on the mountaintop, but their specifications are much more luxurious than those at the foot of the mountain. The ordinary work of these low-level gatehouses is to receive some mortals going up and down the mountain, as well as to take care of the meals and rest of the senior brothers who are at the foot of the mountain. From morning till night, chopping firewood and carrying water, cooking and washing vegetables, all they do is the miscellaneous work of ordinary people. Moreover, the martial brothers on the mountain also look down on them, thinking that these named disciples are no different from ordinary people, and even inferior to some disciples in the outer hall. The disciples in the outer hall can still do a lot of money for the mountain gate, but these named disciples can only do some miscellaneous work for ordinary people. Moreover, their cultivation does not have a dedicated teacher to teach them. Although each person has issued an initial mental method secret book, they need to rely on their own efforts to understand and cultivate. If it weren't for Li Fan's second time as a person, he would have looked down on fame and fortune a lot. I estimate he would have left the mountain and left now. And the white senior sister he saw yesterday was a disciple in the Xuanwu Hall. Although not very old, her strength was one of the top second-class disciples. Therefore, in this martial arts world where the strong are respected, it seems that she is even more majestic than middle-aged people in their 30s and 40s. In addition, his master is one of the most powerful figures in the sect. Named disciples like Wang Mai and Yu Guan, who are as numerous as miscellaneous fish, when they see her, it is like a child seeing their parents and elders, and they dare not disrespect her. Yu Guan, it's the name of Li Fan's current body. This was asked by him yesterday while chatting with Wang Mai, pretending to have amnesia. Oh, no, it's not pretending, it's really amnesia. The weather is quite sunny today. Li Fan woke up relatively late. Due to drowning, senior brother Wang Mai deliberately didn't come and ask him to sleep for a while longer. Li Fan also knew about it, so he slept until almost noon before getting up. After getting up, he moved his body and felt that except for a slight sore back, everything else seemed to be normal. Haha. I finally came back to life. Li Fan smiled happily and said to himself, is my wonderful adventure in the world of cultivation about to begin? Ha, by Ling world, I'm here. Don't mention it, when it comes to women, Li Fan is really a bit excited. In my previous life, I didn't get married because of work, which delayed my marriage. It's been a long time since I finally crossed over. I have to learn the tricks of other people's novels, such as Sma, Harem, Imperial Sister, and Lowly. As long as it's within my ability range, I'll take as much as I can. As a second person, he has also become indifferent to certain things. Such as the illusory moral values of love that he adhered to in his past life. People just want to live like themselves. Even if it is not possible to achieve it in practice, it is right to work hard. This is his second thought for being human. However, when it comes to ideas, strength still depends on honest efforts. Yesterday, I didn't even ask in detail about the usage of the Merit Jade card. If you have time later, be sure to ask the little girl inside the Merit Jade card for more information. Thinking about the Merit Jade plaque, he suddenly remembered that he had been sucked into the realm of that Merit Jade plaque yesterday. What should he do if he mainly wanted to enter? He doesn't know. What should we do? Li Fan suddenly discovered this problem. Wait, let me think. Yesterday, I was looking at senior brother Wang's secret book. Then I was just pulled in. Can you say that? Is it possible to enter that peculiar realm as long as you read carefully, or is it only effective when reading that book, Introduction to Xianmen 9 Fingers? There are many problems. Li Fan has made up his mind to give it a good try tonight. Li Fan was thinking about these things when suddenly he heard a huge roar coming from outside the door. Where are people? Xiao Mai. Xiao Yu. Come out if you have any breathing. This. Is it like calling yourself? Li Fan also roughly understood his job here yesterday and knew that this was a disciple of the morning shift of the Xuanji sect's 2 classes every day. He shouted so loudly, so there must be something wrong. However, when Li Fan heard this voice, he felt that he should be quite fierce and a bit afraid to go out. But after thinking about it, what if he didn't go out and that person got even angrier? After thinking for a while, I finally ran out. As soon as Li Fan went out, he saw a fierce man who was 2 heads taller than him. He was wearing a brown and white robe, holding a precious sword in his hand. His face was dark and rough, and he even had a small scar on his forehead. With one foot on a bench and the other hand inserted into his waist, he looked at Li Fan. "Let me wipe it, is this a great thief from all over the world?" Li Fan felt a wave of depression in his heart. It was clear that he was an authentic cultivator of the Xianmen sect, but how could the senior brothers in the sect look like this? If you see this somewhere else, you will definitely think it's the leader of the gang. His mother, Xiao, don't you pretend to be dead for me. Don't you drown a little. Can you really die? Do you want to be lazy and not work? I said you too, don't bring lunch so early or late. Do you want to starve us? Li Fan was a bit at a loss. After all, he couldn't handle such a fierce person. If he said the wrong thing, he might get beaten. He had watched many scenes of small characters being bullied on TV on Earth. I don't want to become such a character myself. What's going on? What are you looking at? Don't you recognize him? The man saw Li Fan not speaking, but kept staring at him and getting angry. He patted the table with his hand, causing the teapots and bowls on the table to jingle and jump around. Are you really in water? Li Fan didn't know what to say when he saw him angry. I wonder where senior brother Wang Mai went. I haven't seen anyone else in the past half day. In the current situation, if he doesn't say a word, it may make the big man even more angry, right? So, Li Fan could only grit his head and say, senior brother Wang just went out, I haven't seen him in half a day. Humph. You lowly disciples are becoming more and more reckless. Originally, the sect accepted you as a special favor to you, but you don't even know how to deal with it. Look at you, you come from an ordinary background and have ordinary qualifications, but you even want to be lazy when you do some trivial things. I see, the sect should have kicked you out long ago. The big man became more angry as he poured tea and drank it, cursing excitedly. Damn it, you're the trash. Li Fan couldn't help but curse in his heart, but he still didn't dare to retaliate, fearing that he would be beaten for no reason. Moreover, if the situation escalated, the origin of his divine soul's journey might be unexpectedly exposed. That would be too much of a loss for him. Fortunately, he looked around and found that senior brother Wang Mai had just walked back, carrying a small load of vegetables on his shoulder. Li Fan felt as if he had seen a savior in his heart and shouted, Senior brother Wang, you're back. Upon hearing Li Fan call him, Wang Mai lifted his eyes and happened to see the black man. He immediately knew a rough idea and shouted, Junior brother are you up? He quickened his pace a bit and rushed to the door, putting down the burden of vegetables on his shoulder. Ah, it's senior brother Hu. Please bear with me. Yesterday, junior brother you drowned and almost lost his life. I've been raising him for a while, but he hasn't recovered much yet. I'm the only one doing today's work, so it's a bit slow. Are you in a hurry? Please bear with me. Humph, he's a pussy. Drowning feels like he's dying. Pooh. Senior brother who took a sip of tea and spat a mouthful of tea foam on the ground, saying, then why don't you guys hurry up? You're talking nonsense, hurry up and cook, don't waste our time. Yes, senior brother Hu, please take a seat. We'll go cook now. Wang Mai said, grabbing Li Fan's hand and running to the backyard. Junior brother are you okay? Wang Mai carefully observed Li Fan and found no abnormalities. He was afraid of losing his memory due to being stimulated and frightened, and he was also extremely concerned about this junior brother. It's okay, it's not a big deal, Li Fan smiled and shook his head, understanding Wang Mai's thoughts. It's just that senior brother surnamed who seems a bit irritable and annoying. Hey, junior brother you, senior brother who is just that kind of person. Actually, he's not bad either. Don't think too much about it. Wang Mai held Li Fan's hands and whispered, as if afraid that senior brother who would hear him. He looked outside the door and finally sighed, senior brother who is almost 40 years old, but he is still a third-class disciple in the sect. Although he works hard, his strength is not even comparable to that of senior brother Yu, who has just started a few years ago. He has to listen to others' orders and act. No wonder he complains so much. Li Fan was confused and said, "Are you saying that the reason why this guy is so fierce is because he doesn't have the will? So he vented all his anger on others." I went ahead, and Li Fan felt like 10,000 grass mud horses were galloping in his heart. He really thought he was a very garbage person. Just because of his narrow-mindedness and demeanor, it's impossible to cultivate such advanced immortal techniques, right? Hee, junior brother you doesn't have to worry too much. He is actually our senior brother. Moreover, our qualifications seem to be not as good as him, and there's nothing to say. Why don't we just endure and cook the food and deliver it quickly? Ha, I'm not angry. Alright, since senior brother Wang said that, let's hurry up and cook. Li Fan's temper also improved. Well, junior brother you, that's right. Let's go cook. Wang Mai took Li Fan's hand and walked into the kitchen. He felt that Li Fan's body seemed to be much better than yesterday, and he could do some less tiring chores. So he felt even happier. This way, his workload would be reduced, and his cooking speed would also be faster. Junior brother you, come on, you haven't fully recovered yet, so don't do heavy work. Do some light work and wash these vegetables, let me do the rest, said senior brother Wang Mai with a cheerful smile. Okay, do you want to wash the vegetables? Let me do it. Although Li Fan hasn't washed the vegetables much, his mother has done quite a bit, which is exactly what the saying goes. I've seen pigs run away even if I haven't eaten pork. This matter can't be difficult for him. Taking a large bowl of vegetables and walking out the back door, Li Fan suddenly remembered a question. I don't know where the water source is. This is his first time washing vegetables, and he can't recall all his previous memories, so he naturally doesn't know where to wash them. Hey, junior brother you really need senior sister Bai to show you your head, otherwise you won't have any sequelae. After being busy for a while, I'll go beg senior sister Ziyuan in the evening to show you. Wang Mai heard Li Fan say that his head was not good and he was a bit worried. As he walked through the back door, there was a well in less than 20 steps where you could wash vegetables. Thank you, senior brother Wang. Li Fan finished listening and picked up the vegetables on the ground before running. Hey, I wanted to take a breath of fresh air when I woke up just now, but my head was suffocated by senior brother who, and I didn't fully understand what it feels like to have this ancient pollution-free air. He took a few deep breaths. Wow, not to mention it, it's really different. It's a bit sweet and sunny. Oh, it seems that this is also a benefit of time travel, better than staying in the city where he used to stay and absorbing various car exhaust and dust. After taking a few steps, I did indeed see the well that senior brother Wang had mentioned. It was a round well with very clear water quality and not very deep, only 2 meters. Li Fan dropped the bucket and poured half of it up. Seeing no one around, he picked it up and poured 2 sips into his mouth. Wow! It's really sweet and refreshing, indescribable comfort. In the past, there was also a well in their village, and the water quality was also very sweet, so he would use a bucket to drink well water. Thinking about the past, I took another big sip. Then pour the remaining water from the bucket into the basin, fill it with well water, and start washing vegetables. First, wash off the mud on the vegetable roots, then remove the yellow leaves of the vegetables. That's it. Then, rinse with clean water and check for any green insects in the vegetable core. If there are any insects, then pick them out. Break off the vegetable leaves one by one, and it's almost done. After finishing these, Lin Feng's squatting waist felt a bit sore. Just as he was about to stand up and move his spine, he suddenly heard a drip sound, and then a woman's voice said, "Loving vegetable washing, merit +1, merit +1. Li Fan was stunned. Who was speaking? Look around, there is no one. His mother, what a ghost. Li Fan was frightened by the sudden sound. Can you stop playing like this all the time? My heart can't bear it. Who the hell is it? Come out. Is that you? Stinky girl. The first thing that came to his mind was the Yuling little girl who had a slightly bad temper last night. As soon as I thought of the Jade spirit in my heart, I suddenly heard a woman's voice in my mind saying, "My name is Baoling, and I am the sister of the Jade spirit. You cannot see me because I am a divine soul, but I can know everything you do. It includes all good and bad things. When you do something beneficial to others among mortals, it will increase your merit, and it may also increase your merit. If you do it passively, it will increase your merit. If you do it actively, it will increase your merit. Similarly, there is also a blessing Jade card. As long as you recite my name, you can summon me. However, is not a blessing Jade card. What can be used during the day will have to wait until after 3 o'clock at night. Don't say I didn't tell you. Are you Yuling sister? You told me earlier. It startled me. How can I summon at night? Is it just like yesterday, thinking sincerely enough? The function of the Feilu de Jade plaque is different from that of the Feilu de Jade plaque. As the saying goes, Feilu de is in the body, and Feilu de is in the heart. You just need to shout my name 3 times during the 3rd shift when there is no one to disturb you. I will respond to you and appear in front of you. Oh, can we still do this? This is much simpler than your stinky little sister's method. Let me find a place to try tonight. 004 Tiangang Heart Method. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After finally finishing the miscellaneous tasks of the day, Li Fan and Wang Mai, 2 difficult brothers, lay in bed early to rest. It turns out that doing physical labor is not as effortless as programming apes. By the end of this day, his whole body seems to be falling apart. Right. In his previous life, he had to stretch out his clothes, open his mouth for food, read until graduation, and then found a programming ape to work, but he really never did these trivial things of serving tea and water. Junior brother I'm really sorry today. There's a lot going on. Tomorrow, I'll take you to senior sister Bai's place and show her your brain. Wang Mai said. Okay. Li Fan was speechless for a moment. Fortunately, this is the world of cultivation. Otherwise, if it were when he used to work, he would have felt that others were cursing him. By the way, senior brother Wang, are you still reading tonight? Li Fan took the opportunity to say, otherwise he might lie down later and really fall asleep. Of course, people like us are not as talented as our senior brothers and sisters. If we don't study harder, we will only be able to do these miscellaneous things for our whole life. When I came to the sect, I thought I could be as chivalrous and righteous as my clan uncle. Unexpectedly, my talent is so poor that I can only serve as a laborer and don't even have a formal master. I can only read this introductory book myself. Sigh. Who is your uncle? Li Fan said curiously. Didn't I tell you before? Wang Mai gave Li Fan a strange look, as if looking at a monster. Ha, cough cough, Lin Fan awkwardly said, well, senior brother Wang, haven't I lost my memory? I can't remember many things from the past. Can you tell me more about it? Okay. Wang Mai seemed a bit conflicted upon hearing this, as if he wasn't very willing to mention that part of the past. He let out a deep sigh and then said, speaking of my clan uncle, he used to be the only martial arts 4-dan master in our village. We children have been practicing martial arts with him since we were young, and we also play with him everywhere. Once, he took us to a dilapidated temple in the back mountain to see the statue of King Kong. Suddenly, he saw a strange black-clothed man sneaking around in that dilapidated temple. The clan uncle was worried that there might be some bad people, so he asked about his background. He didn't expect that mysterious person. At the slightest disagreement, he started to fight with the clan uncle. The clan uncle, who was usually seen as tall and powerful in our eyes, surprisingly did not perform 5 moves under the mysterious man in black. After the clan uncle was knocked down to the ground, the man in black fled. We kids ran home like crazy, and after telling my father and his team about it, my father took them up the mountain to carry our uncle back to the village. Uncle Zhu's injury was very serious, and none of the members of the clan could be cured. Later, Uncle Air came up with an idea. He said that the Xianxia sect, which is closest to our village, is a well-known cultivator and there must be someone who can save Uncle Zhu. So he sent my father and several young members of the clan with various flower bonuses as gifts to invite Uncle Han Ping from Xianxia sect to the village for inspection. As a result, Uncle Han Ping arrived in our village. It was discovered that clan uncle was seriously injured by a disciple of a cult, and his moves also carried poison gas. Although clan uncle is strong in muscles and bones, the poison in him is already too deep. The poison gas has penetrated his heart meridian, and there is no possibility of rescue. In the end, the clan uncle died, but before he died, he begged Master Han Ping to bring back the children of our clan to Xianxia sect for a test, to see if there were any children who could practice. If there were, they would stay in Xianxia sect to practice, so that we could honor our ancestors and even seek revenge for him in the future. And later on, did you come to this Xianxia sect? Li Fan was mesmerized by this. It turned out that there was still such a story about senior brother Wang Mai. Later on, in the interest of justice and unity, and with pity for the tragic death of our clan uncle, Han Shishu agreed to take our 12 children from the Wang clan to Xianxia sect for testing. But I didn't expect the difficulty of the test to be much harder than our usual practice of boxing and horse training. Among our 12 ethnic groups, only 2 of them were barely qualified in the end. One was Senior Wang Shi, who served in the outer hall, and the other was me, a third-class junior disciple in the inner hall. Originally, the 2 of us couldn't be considered qualified either. San Zhu said that these children's talents were too low, and barely earning a living would also bring shame to the sect. I didn't quite understand those words, but in the end, Han Shishu said that the righteous way in the world is one family, and there should be a shared hatred towards evil demons and outsiders. Although Wang Shoucheng, a villager, has low martial arts skills, he is quite chivalrous. Since he specifically sought help from our Xianxia sect, Wanjia village is also a nearby village, so we must not underestimate the loyalty of our fellow villagers and the high expectations of our fellow villagers. After saying these words, Shizu reluctantly agreed. However, because the talents of the other brothers were too low, only me and senior brother Wang Shi were left behind, and the other children were sent home. Senior brother Wang Shi is doing some miscellaneous tasks in the outer hall, and because my words and actions were appropriate, I happened to have a spot available as a guest servant, so I was transferred to this gatehouse. Uncle Han Ping also reminded the 2 of us, you must serve with all your heart and not let down the high expectations of the clan. In addition to miscellaneous tasks, you can also read more books and practice. Although your talents are not good, doing everything to the best of your ability is not without hope of success. So we stayed in the sect, and after a year, a former senior brother who was a magistrate and a laborer was transferred, and you were sent here. Have you forgotten all of these? Li Fan was a bit excited when he heard this. It turned out that joining the Xianxia sect was also quite difficult. So how did he get this disciple position? I think there should also be a story to tell. Li Fan has always enjoyed watching martial arts since he was young, and being a program monkey is purely for the material security of life. The words of senior brother Wang Mai aroused his primitive longing for the world of martial arts and immortality. I couldn't help but feel a bit curious about gossip, wanting to know more. However, he doesn't want to ask Wang Mai now. If he forgets even his entry-level experience, he maybe said something like his head is in a mess. He doesn't like to listen to that nonsense. However, when I arrive at that Baoling senior sister's place tomorrow, let's see if I can cure my amnesia. If it can be cured, then I know everything. So he won't ask today either. There was one more thing that suddenly came to his mind. Since he was also an official disciple of the Xianxia sect, although his class was a bit lower, it was at least authentic. There should also be martial arts secret scripts from junior disciples of the sect. But why did he only see senior brother Wang Mai having his own book, and where is his secret script? By the way, brother Wang, there's something I'd like to ask for your help with. Li Fan said seriously to Wang Mai. Very sincere. What's up? You and my fellow disciples should help each other. As long as I can help, please let me know, said senior brother Wang Mai. Well, it's not a big deal either, because of my previous drowning and amnesia, I no longer remember many things. Well, I forgot where I put my junior disciple's secret script. Li Fan said, secretly observing Wang Mai's reaction. Oh, haven't you always been in that cabinet over there? Wang Mai heard this and stood up. He ran to an old cabinet on the left and opened it. He took out a pack of oil paper from inside and opened the 2 layers of oil paper outside. Inside was a book called Introduction to the Original Tiangang Mind Technique of the Xianmen Sect. Oh, senior brother Wang, is this my secret script? But why is it different from your book? Li Fan looked at this book strangely, not the preliminary explanation of the Xianmen 9 fingers that he had seen Wang Mai read before. I'm not very clear about this. I only remember when I was selecting the secret script, Uncle Han Ping told me that you could freely choose, but it was best to choose something different from yours, so that in the future, you two can exchange and read with each other. So I chose this book that is different from brother Wang Shi. Later, senior brother Wang Shi was sent to the outer hall of the town to handle affairs, and we separated. However, fortunately, after you arrived, I found that your secret script was actually the same as that of senior brother Wang Shi. This made me extremely happy. Although I had read a few pages of the Tiangang mind technique before, I didn't have enough time to read it, and I couldn't quite understand it either. However, you have always been smart and have been reading for a long time, so I often ask you to explain the principles in the book to me. Don't you remember all of these? Oh. After listening to it, Li Fan thought to himself that there was still such a story behind it, so senior brother Wang Mai showed special concern for himself. He was also afraid of drowning before. So there's another thing here to guide him in his cultivation, that's why. Recalling the previous scene, Li Fan became curious about the senior sister named by Ling again. It sounded like Uncle Han Ping was probably a good person, good to Wang Mai and others, and seemed like a good person. Li Fan came to this world without any support, afraid of encountering some powerful villains, so he wanted to find a support. Master Han Ping looks very nice, so he needs to be more careful in the future. If he can get close to him, he can also have some support in this unfamiliar cultivation world. He couldn't help but ask, senior brother Wang, Uncle Han Ping seems to be a decent person. What's his background? He raised his right hand and scratched his head. What's wrong? Don't you even remember him? Ah. Wang Mai looked at Li Fan, shook his head, and there was a hint of disgust in his eyes. Uncle Han Ping is the master of senior sister by Ling. He is one of the top 10 masters among the 19th generation disciples of the Xianxia sect. We martial brothers always worship and respect him. Oh, how old is he? Is he very old? Li Fan said curiously. Hey, I see you're really sick. Wang Mai fainted a bit. Uncle Han has a good character and is also skilled in magic, but he's very young. He's only under 40 years old this year. He's a disciple who started at the same time as the Hu senior brother we saw today. What? Li Fan heard about it and almost spat out saliva. He is actually a disciple of the same generation as today's senior brother Hu. It's impossible, isn't it? So why do you call him senior uncle? Hi, let's say you're smart, sometimes you're a bit foolish. Wang Mai smiled helplessly and said, Uncle Han Ping has great talent. Shortly after entering the school, he was promoted to the Upper Xuanji Hall as a disciple and then became a disciple under the second master Li Quan. His seniority naturally skyrocketed. And today's senior brother named Hu Hai, his talent is inferior, and he only worships Uncle Jiang Li from the lower hall as his master. Uncle Jiang Li's master is the third master, and the third master is the younger brother of the second master. Therefore, Uncle Han Ping is naturally the same generation as Uncle Jiang Li, and Uncle Jiang Li always calls him senior brother when he sees him. Compared to brother Hu, Uncle Han naturally has a higher generation. We usually see him call him senior uncle, but for senior brother Hu Hai, who is about his age, we just call him senior brother Ao. After thinking for a while, Li Fan finally understood. It turned out that these complex relationships in ancient times, such as the 8 aunties and 7 aunties, and the cousins' actions, were quite complicated. He really had a headache, but forget it. Anyway, he will gradually understand. Just listen to the excitement for now. However, if people with higher talents can join the lineage of higher level masters, then their living conditions should also be greatly improved, right? Hey, Li Fan can't stand this kind of kerosene lamp anymore. After dusk, he almost enters his bedtime life. Yes, starting from changing his cultivation ability, Li Fan suddenly picked himself up and wanted to work hard. However, now all he could do was to first read the preliminary explanation of Heavenly Gang Mind Technique. Senior brother Wang, I'm going to work hard and practice seriously. Let's read a book first. Please do as you please. Li Fan's expression became more serious. Well, okay, junior brother you, please do as you please. Wang Mai was suddenly moved when he saw Li Fan becoming so serious. Immediately moved the oil lamp on the table towards him, so that he could read more clearly. Li Fan carefully looked at the secret script and saw that it read. The Xian Men 9 Fingers Heavenly Gang Heart Technique is a technique that was personally verified by the founder of the Supreme Emperor. This technique may seem simple, but in reality, it is profound and infinite. Starting from the first generation of ancestor Xuan Qingzi, to the second generation of ancestor Zuan Mingzi, the third generation of ancestor Zuan Yezi, the fourth generation of ancestor Zuan Wuzi, the fifth generation of ancestor Zuan Izi, the sixth group of ancestors Zuan Jiezi, the seventh generation of ancestors Zuan Ai, the eighth generation of ancestors Zuan Yangzi, the ninth generation of ancestor Xian Enzi, the 10th generation of ancestor Xian Azi, the 10th generation of ancestor Zuan Sizi, the 12th generation of ancestor Zuan Kezi, the 13th generation of ancestor Zuan Lizi, the 14th generation of ancestor Zuan Uzi, and the 15th generation of ancestors Zuan Loazi, 16 generations of ancestors, Zuan Gizi, 17th generation of ancestors, Zuan Fengzi, and the 18th generation of ancestors, Zuan Maizi, now the leader, have been practicing this Tiangang mind technique for over 3,000 years, all of which are the foundation for beginners. This mental technique is actually the foundation of the Xuanji sect's immortal techniques and a good plan for learning. Scholars should not underestimate it just because it is a beginner's skill. The Tiangang heart technique has a total of 14 layers, each of which is further divided into 3 small levels. If one level is obtained, it will have the magical effect of the first level. This method can nourish qi in blood in the early stage, accumulate qi and preserve spirit in the middle stage, and transform into immortality in the later stage. Since the first ancestor Xuan Qingzi comprehended this mind technique, only the 8th ancestor Zuan Yangzi and the 11th ancestor Zuan Sizi were able to comprehend all 14 layers of the Heavenly Gang mind technique within 3,000 years. The other ancestors who have served as sect leaders, some have comprehended up to the 13th or 12th level, and none of them can comprehend all the connotations of the 14th level. Without exceptional talent and high qualifications, it is impossible for anyone to comprehend all the mysteries of this mind technique. Taizu Shi Xian Qingzi, in order for his descendants to understand the Tao and the profound meaning of the Tiangang mind technique as soon as possible, also personally passed down a few mnemonics. The appendix of the mnemonic is as follows. Upon obtaining the 14 layers of this book, one can see the Qingmen to the Xianmen. The 4 parts of the Xianmen are combined into 4 images, and the 4 images are invisibly integrated into one city. However, the mental methods passed down by our ancestors through generations have lost their righteousness over time and have also declined due to the decline of our sect's talents. Although they have been passed down for a long time, it is rare for one among millions of disciples to understand the profound meaning behind them. This is because the current head of the sect, Xian Meizi, is worried about the decline of the orthodox sect and the lack of successors. Therefore, he has made these 4 mental methods public to the younger disciples of his same sect, hoping that the heavens will spare no effort in using equipment to restore the past, restore the present, and revive the sect. So the prosperity of my 3,000 disciples from the Xianmen sect is certain to have a period, and the ancestors of the sect leaders throughout history are also fortunate to have people from the earth. Li Fan first thought the names of the ancestors throughout history were a bit interesting. Later, he found out that the classical Chinese writings of the ancients were not exaggerated, and he felt that they were written very well. But what kind of person is this leader called Xuanmeizi? Li Fan couldn't help but become curious. After all, he is now a disciple of the Xuanji sect and will have to work under their henchmen in the future. He couldn't help but think for a moment. Suddenly, when he was lost in thought, a thought came to his mind. Choose a girl, choose a girl. Puff. He almost spat out a mouthful of saliva himself, but fortunately he later forcefully restrained his chaotic thoughts, feeling so dangerous that he dared to desecrate the leader. Let's read carefully. He forcefully pulled his thoughts back, carefully read the book, and as he looked at it, he discovered another strange thing. It was clearly a classical Chinese with a strange layout, awkward language, and profound meaning, very different from modern books on earth. But why could he actually understand all of it? And the meaning in the book can also be understood very clearly. Oh my goodness, this discovery also made him feel very magical and a little excited. Did his brain really become smarter after being submerged in water? 005 Sisters, Double Jiao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Fan read carefully and slowly began to study. Suddenly, he felt his spirit begin to fluctuate again, the same feeling as when he saw the merit Jade plaque that day. He knew that he could probably communicate with Ling at this time. By the way, why not tell her about this mental technique and ask her if she knows some tricks? This girl looks quite afraid of that old man. She must also be from the Shuzhen realm. The old man has a clear and refined demeanor, without any earthly aura. Even if he is not a true immortal, it is almost enough. This girl must know some Taoist techniques to some extent, so let's take it to ask her. Anyway, it doesn't take any time. 1 hour in the Jade plaque, 1 minute outside. He had already experimented almost yesterday. Li Fan quickly calmed down his heart and felt the presence of the Jade spirit and merit Jade plaque. Who? With a loud sound, Li Fan's divine soul suddenly felt like it had arrived at a place, right in front of the merit Jade plaque. Haha. I'm back again, look at this Jade plaque, it's not much different from yesterday. Some of the golden characters engraved on the plaque are shining brightly. I didn't look carefully yesterday, but I didn't pay attention. It seems that there is an article on it. Just as I was planning to take a closer look from the beginning, yesterday that ancient and mysterious Jade spirit girl ran out again. You sneaky thing, what are you peeking at here? Ah. His mother, can't this girl treat me better? I despise myself every time. It's really unpleasant. I'm watching if you're taking a shower, Li Fan said angrily. You. The little girl's face suddenly turned red. Can you see it? Ah. Li Fan was speechless for a moment. Is this girl really taking a shower just now? Look at this somewhat shy expression, and now it's night again, it's really possible. Well, you know that's good, Li Fan pretended to be serious. Originally, I didn't want to monitor you, but you, the girl, spoke rudely to me yesterday, which made me very unhappy. So today, I told that old man with a white beard to give me the right to supervise you. Now I can see everything, and I can see what you do. But if I don't want to see it anymore, you'd better be honest with me. Otherwise, I'll secretly watch you take a shower every day. Ah! I only heard the little girl scream, and then with a loud roar, a muffled thunder came down from Li Fan's head, shattering his divine soul into a state of 7 meats and 8 vegetables. Cough cough, Li Fan couldn't bear the chopping anymore. He coughed incessantly, which was not just a pretense. I didn't expect this little girl to be ruthless, and if she didn't agree, it would be thunderous. Although Li Fan also noticed that the little girl had left her hand behind, this thunder should be considered as a punishment for him. You big bastard. After chopping the thunder, the little girl hid inside the jade plaque and didn't forget to curse Li Fan. Ah! Whoa whoa, Li Fan gasped heavily as he lay on the ground, touching his hair that was standing upright and emitting black smoke on his head. Ahem, actually I didn't see you take a shower. I just saw you run into the bathroom and guess for yourself, so don't hit anyone randomly. I'm a good person and won't sneak a peek at you taking a shower. Ahem, I feel like my lungs are about to cough up. Really? The little girl asked, half of her body protruding from the jade plaque. Hee hee, how dare I lie to you? Of course it's true. Li Fan touched his face, and his burnt black face suddenly turned a bit white and black, looking very funny. Hee hee, you deserve it, Ling smiled. Are you laughing so happily now? Cough. Li Fan sneered at her, are you not afraid that I'm lying to you? What? Upon hearing this, Ling immediately became nervous again. How dare you? Hi, what am I afraid of? Don't say you're just a little girl, there's nothing to watch. Even your sister Lin Fan insists on saving face, boasting that he never drafts, and once he starts bragging, he can't even stop. Shut up. Li Fan originally wanted to continue blowing, but suddenly a jiaozha sound from afar shook his mind and he quickly closed his mouth. It turned out that Baoling, the sister of the Merit Jade Plaque and the master of the divine soul of the Merit Jade Plaque, slowly walked over and looked at Li Fan with a slight anger on his face. It's really not worth mentioning virtue at all. Who are you? Li Fan guessed the identity of this girl and couldn't help but look up and down. He thought to himself that this girl is really beautiful, but he didn't dare to shout directly because he was afraid that if he called the wrong one, it would make her even more angry. So, it's better to be humble and ask a question. Now his bragging spirit has dissipated and he has become more serious. I've already spoken during the day. Baoling nodded and said, her face slightly red, which was really pretty. Oh, you are the divine soul of the food jade plaque, right? You are the Baoling. Li Fan pointed at the Baoling and said. Exactly. Baoling saw that Li Fan spoke more seriously and was no longer as angry as before. He gave Li Fan a blessing and nodded. Li Fan felt a moment of depression in his heart. It was more serious than before, but he had to cultivate himself, so he couldn't misunderstand. So he explained, I just casually said that. Actually, I wouldn't do such a thing. Miss Baoling, don't misunderstand. If you don't believe me, just check the Merit Jade Plaque. In theory, peeping at a woman taking a shower is also a sin, and the Merit Jade Plaque will definitely reduce merit. So did I peek at you? Just look at the Merit Jade Plaque and you'll know. What you said doesn't make sense. Let me believe you for now. Baoling seemed to have some thoughts upon hearing this. Yulinger, please open the Merit Jade Plaque and take a look. Ah, sister. You must not believe this bad person. Xiaoyuling poked her head out and said. Listening is believing, seeing is believing. This kind of thing is neither too big nor too small, and it greatly damages virtue. If this matter is true, he is not qualified to inherit what our old master has. Yulinger, stop being naughty and open the jade plaque. Ling Bao seemed to take this matter quite seriously. The Xianmen of heaven and earth. Lin Fan was taken aback by the words on the side. Is this jade plaque system called the heaven and earth Xianmen? Will there be any special relationship with Xuanji sect? Sister, little Yuling had already jumped out of the jade plaque, shaking her body and acting coquettishly in front of his sister, but Baoling seemed to ignore her coquettishness. Just watching quietly, Yuling shook her body for a while and found it useless. She had to stomp her feet, turn around, make a face at Li Fan, and then swing her hands towards the merit jade plaque. In an instant, a myriad of green lights reappeared, and that strange light was so strange that it hit Li Fan as if he had a real sense of touch, making his whole body and mind warm and comfortable. There was an indescribable sense of comfort. At the same time, it seemed to have enhanced his comprehension and spiritual power. In just a few seconds, he felt a great deal of spiritual satisfaction, even more than all the spiritual satisfaction he had in his life as a programming ape combined. It felt like his whole life was in vain. Moreover, a peculiar rune appeared in the green light screen, just like the scene from watching the science fiction movie Matrix. However, the green characters appearing in the movie Matrix were numbers, while the rune appearing in this merit jade plaque seemed to be a type of ancient script, somewhat like a combination of small seal script and other characters. Then these characters slowly merged until they became a large, visible screen, which was about 3 meters wide and 1 meter high, displaying some information about Li Fan's life on Earth, including his name and his life journey when he was a programming ape. Damn it! Li Fan looked at it a few times and felt a little depressed. How could it even know that I stayed up late playing games and pretended to be sick and didn't go to school? Also, I like the female classmate in the next class. I wipe it, it's so amazing. Li Fan looked at the thousands of words flashing history records and was almost stunned. The introduction of Li Fan shows that he was a programmer on a certain planet in his previous life, and his life was ordinary without any special events to record. Some were just small good and evil things. After graduating from university, he entered a game company to work hard. One night, he went to Haishur and died suddenly due to myocardial infarction caused by overwork at the age of 29. There are no descendants left. Damn it, I haven't left any offspring. Why don't I remember these things? Li Fan felt a pang of sadness when he saw the last sentence, I haven't left any offspring. Can I have offspring? The key is to find who to give birth to. Is that so? I was too busy with work all my life, and the company didn't allow me to date in the company, so it delayed me. As I spoke, Li Fan became excited and looked into Baoling's eyes, hoping to get her approval. What are you staring at me for? Baoling misunderstood Li Fan's meaning in his heart, thinking that he had some plans and ideas for himself. Did he want to have a child for him? But obviously not, but as she thought about it, she couldn't help feeling a bit shy and her face turned red. Humph. This guy is really an unscrupulous person, Baoling was angry. He was just about to scold him for a few words, but suddenly he thought about it again. He had died once, and it was a bit pitiful. Although his words and actions were a bit unbearable, he was entrusted by the old master. It was better to choose to rest and settle down. So, after a strange and magical expression on his face, his gaze avoided Li Fan's eyes and did not look at him. Hee, you're still honest. You didn't lie to us. Otherwise, my sister would have kicked you out. That would have been a disaster for you. The little girl Yuling stood outside the merit jade plaque at some point, and she was so elusive. Li Fan glanced at Ling and followed her gaze. The vertical row on the left side of the big screen displayed Li Fan's number of merits. 5001, how's it going? I didn't lie to you, did I? Li Fan felt proud in his heart and looked at Baoling with his eyes, but Baoling seemed to be deliberately avoiding her gaze, and there was a hint of shyness on his face. Li Fan looked at it with a burst of joy and thought to himself, is this the word, coquettishly angry and thin angry, mentioned in ancient books? This precious girl looks really beautiful. How could I really sneak a peek at Ling taking a shower? How can she apologize to me now? Haha. You, who wants to apologize for you? Baoling suddenly turned around and pointed at Li Fan, his face flushed even more, and he stomped the ground hard. Ah! Li Fan suddenly felt a slight chill on his spine, his hair standing on end. He was just thinking in his heart just now and hadn't said it yet. Why did this Baoling know? Thinking back to the time before, when Li Fan first saw Baoling, he just said something so beautiful in his heart, but Baoling's face turned a bit red. At that time, he thought that traditional women were more prone to blushing, so he didn't pay attention to it. Is that so? Is that so? Baoling, how do you know what I'm thinking? Hee, have you been caught this time? The little girl Ling stood in front of Li Fan, with her hands behind her and her head tilted, smiling up at him from a young age. Ah, how did you do it? Li Fan felt a bit flustered in his heart. Fortunately, he didn't have any dirty thoughts at the time, just thought she was so beautiful, belonging to the category of telling the truth. Otherwise, I'm afraid I'll be scolded again. Baoling didn't turn his head and ignored him. Sister, if you have his understanding, of course you will know. The little girl Ling walked with her hands behind her back, looking like a little adult. But sister is indeed very beautiful. You belong to the truth, not a sin, Li Fan was speechless upon hearing this. The feeling of being spied on by the girl was really not good, but he had no choice. Who could make someone's moral character much higher than him? Hey, after all, he's just a newbie who cultivates himself. Compared to artifact spirits like Baoling, which have been around for thousands of years, their strength is too weak. He thinks he still needs to improve his strength. So let's first understand the third layer of Tiangang heart technique clearly. Li Fan thought of it. Do you dare to talk nonsense and daydream again in the future? Baoling turned around and looked at Li Fan, saying at some point. Oh, Sister Baoling, I dare not. Li Fan thought about it. With his own strength, even teasing others is a bit self-deprecating. These cultivators are all very versatile, even the little girl Ling, although a bit cute, exudes a strange and silly energy. Li Fan thinks it's better to avoid offending the two sisters in the future. It's important to do serious things and practice. Okay, I'll forgive you once. I won't agree again if I do it again, Baoling said, looking at Li Fan with a somewhat conflicted expression. In the end, he breathed a sigh of relief. Hey, since it's the old master's order, we can't disobey it. Suddenly, Baoling knelt down straight in front of Li Fan. Young master, please be worshipped by Baoling Sister. Damn it, what's going on? Li Fan was a bit dumbfounded. He was so strict with him just now, why did he suddenly kneel down in the blink of an eye? Where did this come from singing? Before Li Fan could react to what had happened in his heart, the little girl from Ling quickly called out, wait, I have to bow myself. She ran to Baoling's side and knelt down side by side with her. Then he bowed with both hands and kowtowed to Li Fan. Ah! Baoling deliberately made a sound, as if reminding Li Fan that they should get up. Li Fan was already confused. To be honest, what happened just now was too sudden, which made him a little unresponsive. But later, he also thought about what she called his young master. It should be related to the old man, so this Baoling sisters would pay such attention to him. Li Fan also wanted to figure out what was going on, so he quickly squatted down and lifted Baoling up. However, his old problem remained unchanged, so he instinctively went to support Baoling's two pairs of fair and delicate jade hands. At the moment when his hands touched Baoling's hands, Li Fan thought to himself, wow, these hands are really smooth. Ah, no good, she can hear them all. Ah, no good, she heard them all. Ah. I can't think anymore, the more the description gets darker. Cough cough, I'm wrong. Baoling Sister. The sound was running rapidly, making Baoling both angry and amused. At the moment when Li Fan's hands touched his own, Baoling was actually a bit angry. However, he thought that the young master was from Earth, and it was possible that he did not understand the etiquette of this world. Anyway, there was no book that said it was necessary to hold his arm on clothes, and the armrest was also acceptable. Later on, he heard the change in Li Fan's inner voice, and couldn't help but laugh. I thought to myself, this new owner is really a bit foolish, but his nature is not bad. Li Fan found that Baoling's smile was really beautiful, but he didn't dare to think anything in his heart anymore. He just glanced at it and then helped the little girl Yuling up again. Why don't you say my hands are so smooth? Big brother. The little girl Yuling suddenly said from her mouth. Immediately, it startled Li Fan like a bolt from the blue. I saw him holding his head in his left hand and pointing to the little girl Yuling with his right hand, constantly nodding. You, so you also understand him. Ha, idiot. Xiao Yuling leaned her hands against her back and said with a smile, I live in your heart, of course I know what you're thinking. Even my sister knows what you're thinking, how could I not know? Puff. Li Fan almost spat out old blood upon hearing this. After being depressed for a long time, Lin Fan roast, then you know everything, why did you ask me if I really peeped at your bath? Thinking of the previous scene, Lin Fan felt that he had been teased by a little girl, and that he was so unaware. Woo, the more I think about it, the more I feel ashamed. Xiaoyuling and Baoling saw an embarrassed expression on Li Fan's face, which soon turned into a tearless expression, and then into an expression of excruciating pain. In the end, he collapsed and lay on the ground, patting the ground with both hands. He cried loudly, the fairy world routine is deep. I want to go back to the countryside. Sister, what is he talking about? Yuling said curiously. I don't know. Hey, it's all you who caused the trouble. If he gets scared out of it, how can we explain it to the old master? Ling Bao saw Li Fan's expression on his face very strange, and he couldn't help but feel a bit worried. But later on, he felt that he was just venting his emotions, and nothing else was important. As for the two words he cried out in the end, it was because she had lived for tens of thousands of years and had seen a lot, but he didn't know what that meant. On the 006 Clutch Hull. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Li Fan cried for a while and felt hurt, so he became angry and stopped asking about Tiangang's mind technique. He cursed two little bitches in his heart. However, Baoling's character is much more generous than Yuling's. After all, he explained to Li Fan the general usage of the food and merit jade plaques. Originally, the EP1-10 system is truly a combination of an information system for cultivating the world and a store system. Simply put, it is a function that allows you to view information about all immortals, cultivation world monsters, and monsters, whether it is people, things, or objects. All merit jade plaques can display their values. And the second function is the built.in merit trading store, various martial arts secret books, immortal techniques, as long as they are available in the cultivation world, they are all ready. I heard that the old man has collected achievements for tens of thousands of years. However, in contrast, if you want to obtain these secret scripts, you also need to exchange them for merit. And merit can only be obtained by doing good deeds or enduring humiliation. Hey! There is no other plan. As for merit, it can be obtained by doing ordinary things, and merit can be exchanged for merit. Food can also be exchanged for merit. There were all kinds of advanced items such as magic weapons, medicines, formations, immortals, etc., which made Li Fan's eyes sparkle and he was stunned. Li Fan also tried to purchase goods and let Baoling guide him, because the owner of this system is the old man who cultivates the Xian men of heaven and earth. Therefore, all the secrets about the heaven and earth Xian men have been halved in price. according to the description of Baoling. The heaven and earth xianmen is an ancient cultivation method that has been around for tens of thousands of years. And the Xuanji sect is just a major branch of the earth xianmen, which was lost 10,000 years ago. Because no one has such high talent to inherit. And the things of the earth xianmen are easier for ordinary people to understand. So it has been passed down to this day. The first ancestor of the Xuanji sect accidentally discovered several local Xuanmen's secret scriptures in a cave, and thus founded the Xuanji sect. Li Fan was very excited when these words came out. He touched something that has been lost in love for over 10,000 years. However, time was limited. After staying in the divine soul realm for an hour, Li Fan was afraid of being discovered outside again, so he went back. Fortunately, he lowered his head to read, and Wang Mai was also working hard and did not notice him. After Li Fan's divine soul returned, seeing that it had not been discovered, he no longer cared so much and continued to study the Tiangang mind technique. Which was strange to say. This time he could easily understand it, and I directly understood the second and third level mental techniques. I really don't think I'm that smart, do I? Li Fan's first feeling was strange. The light of the previous Jade plaque seemed to have the effect of enhancing his intelligence and comprehension ability. Damn it, if he had to behave like this, he probably wouldn't have become the world's top genius. Entering the Xuanji Hall is probably a matter of time. When Lin Fan thought of this, his whole body felt even more energized. Life has a new beginning, and one can escape from this dirty and black little place. However, although the second and third level mental methods can be understood, they still need to be effectively implemented. This requires an effective combination of meditation and luck. Li Fan meditated for half an hour according to the meaning in the book, only to find that his spirit became more full, his physical fatigue inexplicably disappeared, and his spirit became sharper than before. Wang Mai is not surprised at all by his meditation. It seems that Yu Guan used to meditate frequently. Junior brother Yu. Senior brother Wang Mai looked very good after seeing Li Fan meditate and asked curiously, "Do you have any new research on Tiangang? Why is this meditation longer than before, and your complexion has also improved a lot?" When Li Fan heard the words, he knew that although Yu Guan had also practiced Tiangang mental skill before, it didn't seem to be as effective as him. Was his one-day effort more awesome than Yu Guan's one-year effort? It's unlikely, but since senior brother Wang Mai said so, there must be a big change, Li Fan was very excited when he thought of this. Hey, senior brother Wang, this time I have truly come to understand many more profound truths, and I have found that I have really become smarter since I drowned. Li Fan wanted to learn about Yu Guan's meditation with Wang Mei before, so he began to talk. It was his careful thinking that he wanted to become smarter after drowning, hoping to lay a foundation for his future. Don't let Li Fan suddenly become smarter and stronger, which will arouse suspicion from others, and of course, it may also arouse suspicion from Wang Mai. So, since he is so close to himself, he can't help but lay an ambush in his heart in advance. Is that right? Wang Mai felt strange. He looked at Li Fan's eyes, then touched his forehead, but didn't see any fever or any strange situation. Finally, he touched his own forehead and pondered, it's really strange. Does drowning really make the mind smarter? Perhaps it's just my imagination, Li Fan could only vaguely say. Well, it seems that no matter how busy you are tomorrow, you really need to go see senior sister Baoling and let her show you what it looks like. Wang Mai nodded and said. Well, senior brother Wang, will you go see senior sister by tomorrow? He felt a little uneasy as he left the gatehouse and familiar environment here, feeling a bit uncertain. Yeah. I was supposed to report back to senior sister Ziyuan and senior sister Baoling today, but I was too busy and didn't have time to go today. Tomorrow, I must make time to report back to senior sister Ziyuan, otherwise I'm afraid I'll be late, and senior sister Ziyuan will be held accountable. Wang Mai remembered that senior sister Ziyuan had instructed him to go and reply if Li Fan woke up. Oh, yes, my mind has also lost its memory. It would be great if senior sister Baoling could give her some treatment as well, Li Fan said cautiously. That's right, although senior sister Baoling is not a few years older than us, her Taoist skills are very advanced and should be able to cure your amnesia. Don't worry, said senior brother Wang Mai. Okay, Li Fan replied. But she thought to herself, I hope she can't see the origin of my soul. Go to bed first. I have to wake up early tomorrow, said Wang Mai. The two of them turned off the lights and went to sleep in their coats. There was nothing to say overnight. The next morning, Li Fan woke up early. In the morning, I helped Wang Mai with some miscellaneous tasks. In the afternoon, when it was Yushur, I had some free time and spent about half an hour studying the Tiangang mind technique. In a short while, all the knowledgeable senior brothers went back, and Wang Mai finished packing up his trivial things before taking Li Fan to the clutch hall on the mountainside. Li Fan has been walking this road for the first time in the past few days. Before, he dared not go up the mountain alone. They are just miscellaneous workers under the third-class disciple hall, and their status is not as good as that of third-class junior disciples. How dare they go up the mountain in positions like this? There are at least 1,000 or 2,000 martial brothers and sisters on the mountain. Although there are many martial uncles and uncles who have gone out and never returned, as long as there are individuals on the mountain, they are more capable and have a higher position than them. Senior brother Wang Mai is not confident enough. In addition, Li Fan, a fake immortal Xiozhen, is even more hesitant. So, these days, he has not walked 100 meters up the mountain. This time, he finally wanted to walk deeper into the sect on the mountain, feeling uneasy and unable to inquire with Wang Mai. Senior brother Wang, what exactly is the clutch hall? I really can't remember. Li Fan scratched his head, pretending to be trying hard to recall but couldn't remember. Oh, your brain is really begging Sister Ziyuan and Sister Baoling to treat you, otherwise I'm afraid I won't remember anything about the mountain. Wang Mai frowned and said upon hearing this, the Liha Hall is where senior sister Ling and senior brother Han practice and refine medicine. Because senior brother Han supervises the disciples of the second hall, he regards the Liha Hall as a place to handle some things. Senior brother Han himself disdains to interfere with these small matters. Whenever senior brother Chang and senior brother have any matters, senior sister Bai manages them on her behalf. Senior sister Ziyuan is Han's fifth disciple, and senior brother Han orders her to assist senior sister Bai Ling in managing affairs. Oh. So it's like this. Li Fan felt much more relaxed when he heard Wang Mai explain it clearly, because since Han Shibwa didn't care about these small matters, all he needed to do was deal with those white and purple senior sisters. Looking at the age of the two of them, they are only 17 or 18 years old, or 20 years old, just a little older than themselves. They can be considered peers, mentally and decisively. It shouldn't be so difficult to handle, and they should be relatively easy to talk about. As Li Fan thought to himself, he became curious about the senior sister named Bai Ling and said, by the way, senior brother Wang Mai, last time I drowned, it was Bai Ling who saved me, right? Exactly. Wang Mai heard Li Fan mention the incident of drowning at the foot of the mountain, and still had lingering palpitations. He patted his chest and said, fortunately, I saw Huka's group of people sneakily following behind you. With an extra eye, I took advantage of my free time to run down the foot of the mountain and coincidentally met Bai and Z, who had returned from the town, and begged them to save you. I didn't expect you to be lucky, you really didn't die. Oh, I also survived a great disaster, so there must be future blessings. However, by the way, senior brother Wang, what kind of Huku are you talking about? Li Fan vaguely felt that his drowning accident with Yu Guan's body was definitely related to that Huku. Oh, have you even forgotten about him? Wang Mai looked at Li Fan in surprise and then said, he is a mid-level disciple in the 3 halls. He usually interacts with the cultivators from the influential families in the town and likes to make trouble out of nothing and bully his fellow disciples. Last time, He came from the foot of the mountain and came to our gatehouse to beg for a sip of tea. After finishing, he complained that the tea was not delicious. I couldn't stand it for a moment, so I said to him. Unexpectedly, he said that we are despicable people who eat cheap tea, and our lives are also despicable. Laughing heartily again. At that time, I had already regretted contradicting him. After all, he was a mid-level disciple in the 3 halls and a wealthy young master in Sanyin town. Most of the people who followed him were also famous and influential children of the town. Therefore, I had planned to endure it for a while. I didn't expect that when you heard this, you were so angry. After he retorted 2 or 3 words, he forcefully beat us up. Fortunately, 2 knowledgeable senior brothers came to persuade and threaten to report to the hall leader, so they went. Don't you remember this? Ah! My brain! Li Fan cursed inwardly, wiping that he was actually a bastard bullying his own physical body. To be placed on Earth in the 21st world, I must have fought against him alone. However, this is the cultivation world, and I am not familiar with any forces or situations, nor do I know what kind of punishment would be in case of an accident. And my own abilities are definitely not as good as their disciples in the 2nd hall. So, for a moment, I really feel a bit indignant. In the 21st world of Earth, although there is significant economic pressure in daily life, bullying people like this is also relatively rare. After all, they are all legal societies, and they are still in big cities. So, Li Fan, who has received modern education, cannot tolerate such behavior of Hu Ku. However, there's nothing he can do to deal with him. After thinking for a moment, I want to read about the current situation and talk about it. When I see that white senior sister, I will adapt to the situation and see what happens. If I can ask white senior sister to punish him, it would be even better. If I can't get through it, I will intensify my cultivation and retrieve the bullied breath in the future. Li Fan secretly made up his mind, and the 5 fingers of his right hand had unknowingly clenched into fists, making a solemn vow in his heart. Alright, the Liha Hall is almost here. Wang Mai looked at the mountain scenery. When senior sister Bai Ling asks anything, you can tell her the truth. This matter must have nothing to do with the gang of playboys like Hu Ku. Although their family has great power, this is a cultivation immortal sect. They never go to see those worldly things, otherwise we wouldn't be able to enter this gate either. So, don't be afraid. To be honest, I believe senior sister Baoling and senior sister Ziyuan will definitely make decisions for us martial brothers, to be honest. That's for sure. However, Li Fan doesn't even remember what happened at that time. From the moment he regained consciousness, his whole body was already immersed in water. He doesn't have any impression of that Hu Ku, he can't recall it in his memory. Helplessly, I have to disturb Wang Mai again. Senior brother Wang, I can't help but ask for more details about the situation at that time, so that I can truthfully report to senior sister Bai Ling. Oh, yes, I forgot about your brain injury. Wang Mai patted his forehead and apologized, I'm sorry. On that day, which was the day you drowned, Hu Ku and 3 senior brothers came to the gatehouse to disturb you again, saying that it was hot and they needed cold water to drink. Fortunately, they were busy for the past 2 days and didn't go down the mountain to fetch water. Originally, the water in the well was good, but Hu Ku said that the water was too good. I deliberately wanted him to get sick and asked me to go to the pool at the foot of the mountain to pick it. I thought about taking the foot of the mountain at least half a mile away, so there was no reason why this was happening. But he didn't dare to disobey him, so he went into the house and carried a bucket of water to the foot of the mountain. He thought to himself that it was just drinking water, and a little bit would be enough. Although the journey was not easy, it wouldn't be too tiring. I am ready to happily descend the mountain. However, when you enter the house, ask me something. I said Hu Ku wants to drink the water at the foot of the mountain. Don't you ask me if I have well water. I said Hu Ku doesn't drink that, it's too cold, and drinking it will make you sick. You just say that Hu Ku is cunning and treacherous. Don't let anything bad happen to you. Take the responsibility from my hands and say you go fetch water. At that time, I didn't mind because I still had some things on hand. Just follow your forehead. Unexpectedly, after more than a quarter of an hour, I remembered Huku, who acted recklessly before and after. If there was really any harm to you, but you couldn't pursue it afterwards. The hero didn't suffer from the current loss. I immediately put down what I was doing and went down the mountain to find you. But at the foot of the mountain, I didn't see any Hu guests. I saw you drowning in the pool with your head down. I was scared and thought you had drowned. I jumped into the water and hurriedly pulled you ashore. I took a sniff and seemed to be still breathing, but no matter how I called, I didn't wake up. I was panicked at the time and didn't know if I wanted to go up the mountain and call someone, so I tried to save you first. Just when I didn't know an idea, Senior Sister Baoling and Senior Sister Ziyuan were coming back. Seeing us, Senior Sister Baoling asked Senior Sister Ziyuan to take a wake-up pill for you. You slowly woke up after a while and vomited a lot of water. You probably already know what will happen after this, oh. So it's like this. Li Fan thought to himself, I can't help but think about my senior brother. In fact, he can also be considered a person with good personal character. Although it doesn't matter whether he died or not before, this body will be used by himself in the future. The drowning incident is mostly related to that person named Huku. If you can't find this place yourself, although it's not a big deal, it inevitably makes people suspicious. Moreover, Li Fan sympathized with the situation of the two senior brothers, Yu Guan and Wang Mai. Those playboys should also be taught a lesson. With this in mind, Li Fan made up his mind to tell the truth. However, Senior Sister Huku is a disciple of the second hall, and Senior Sister Bai Ling is also a disciple of the second hall. If this cannot be announced, and if Senior Sister Bai Ling also fears their secular influence, then he, as a junior disciple of the third hall, will have a hard time. So, when the time comes, let's talk about that Bai Senior Sister's reputation and see what kind of impression she has of that Hu guest. If the impression is good, let's just tell her that we don't remember anything. Anyway, the previous incident had nothing to do with him. Choosing to tell the truth was mostly out of sympathy and indignation towards Yu Guan. After thinking about these things, in no time, the two of them had already walked to the gate of the clear room. There were also two knowledgeable senior brothers watching here. When they asked something, Wang Mai answered truthfully. One of them said that Senior Sister Ziyuan had explained it, so they let it go. This Xuanji mountain is actually very vast, stretching over 400 miles, with over 100 peaks of various sizes. Xuanzhaizong has been operating here for thousands of years, with a deep foundation. In the end, the atmosphere is different, including palaces, temples, square boardwalks, hanging eaves and corners, as well as houses of various sizes. Among them, the Shanfeng Ancestral Hall and its surrounding buildings are the most magnificent. Passing through the Qingxi Gate, there are the Liha Hall and Jishan Hall. In front of the Liha Hall is a large square, ancient and fragrant, which can accommodate hundreds of people. Jishan Hall is the place where disciples usually study and study hard, and behind it is the Yanji Hall, which is the place where the disciples of the second hall practice their martial arts and compete. In such a large area, there are also 200 or 200 houses. Wang Mai has visited several times, so he introduced and explained them to him one by one. They were all exclusive caves of some senior brothers, as well as dormitories, alchemy halls, closed stone rooms, puppet halls, sword sect solutions, sword washing waterfalls, Lingxi Valley, Baichao Hall, Wangchuan Gate, and other places. Li Fan only knows a general idea about these cultivation cultures, so he just listened to a rough idea and couldn't remember specific things. However, when it comes to the scenery and living environment, the houses here are much more magnificent than the foothills below. Moreover, the sunset is shrouded in the sunset, and the scenery is even more beautiful. Li Fan looked at it and felt even more nervous about the idea of striving for strength. The scenery here is really nice. If we could live here, it would be great. Li Fan couldn't help but look at the colorful sunset in the distance and said, "Hee hee." Wang Mai smiled upon hearing the words. "We third-class disciples are still junior disciples. If we take a closer look, it would be a blessing. If we want to live here, we must have the ability to enter the second-class hall and become a second-class disciple. I know my talent is too low, so in addition to miscellaneous tasks, I study martial arts diligently. However, my understanding is limited. It seems that there is no hope in this life. However, brother you are different. You have read books and your comprehension is much stronger than mine. If you are willing to work hard, there may really be some opportunities in the future. Hey, senior brother Wang, what you're saying is too pessimistic. While intelligence is important in cultivating oneself, one's heart is also a crucial factor that cannot be ignored. Proud and vain people like Hu Ku can enter the second hall as disciples with hard work. A humble and loyal person like you, if you really work hard, how could you not enter the second hall as a second-class disciple? So, senior brother Wang, don't be discouraged, let's study hard and study hard. Not necessarily inferior to those urban playboys. Li Fan spoke passionately. Junior brother you, what you said is so great. Wang Mai listened to Li Fan's words, and the cultivation of the sword was also a key factor in his heart. Not only did he rely on his intelligence and understanding, but he suddenly felt like he had discovered a new world. His eyes lit up with a strange light, and he even happily grasped Li Fan's hands, trembling uncontrollably. He said, "Yes. On the path of cultivation, although it depends on intelligence and understanding, it also depends on moral character. Han Shishu encouraged us in the same way before, but I forgot. Thanks to your reminder, even people like Hu Ku can enter the second hall as second-class disciples based on their own abilities. Why can't we? As long as we have enough sincerity and hard work, we may not be inferior to senior brother Hu Ku and others." The light shining in Wang Mai's eyes told Li Fan that this guy had become enlightened by one of his words. Li Fan didn't expect this effect either. In fact, he just happened to use the words he heard from the carefree picture of the Jade spirit on the merit Jade plaque to comfort Wang Mai. But I didn't expect that this would really work. Has it opened up another path for Wang Mai's cultivation? Li Fan was very happy in his heart. He had been taken care of by senior brother Wang Mai before, and even pretended to faint, allowing him to carry him up the mountain alone. Lu, who had walked so far, actually felt quite guilty in his heart. At this moment, it seemed that he had been helped and felt very comfortable in his heart. Junior brother you, just a little further ahead is the Liha Hall. Wang Mai's eyes and footsteps became more firm and powerful. At that time, we must argue with reason and tell the facts to senior sister Bai, so that we can govern the world fairly. Wang Mai's eyes were full of determination. Lin Fan looked in his eyes and said to himself, "At this moment, I can see that I have gained a firm witness. If senior sister Bai is still fair, it is not impossible to clean up Hu Ku as well." "Stop, what are you two doing?" A 15 or 16-year-old girl stopped them and asked in front of a hall over 3 zhang high. "Excuse me, young senior sister. Third brother's junior disciple Wang Mai and third-class junior disciple Yu Guan have been ordered to come and report. Please report on your behalf." Wang Mai bowed to the 15 or 16-year-old immature girl. "Wait. I'll go in and report." The little girl simply turned around and walked into the lobby. Li Fan looked at the lobby, which was about 7 or 8 meters high. There was a large plaque with 3 big characters written in red, blue, and yellow. Liha Hall. There was also a 4-character door couplet below that read, Gao Tian Ho Di. Initially, he was not interested in these, but since he was idle, he took a slight look at the couplets on both sides. Originally, he did well in the Chinese language exam at school. It is a program ape with artistic style. On the left side of the couplet. People come first, and then come day after day. On the right side of the couplet. Descendants, ancestors, and descendants, everyone regards me as a minister of heaven and earth. Li Fan looked at it silently for a while, feeling that it was too profound. As a young man with a literary and artistic style, I was also excellent in Chinese language at that time, and I also liked to read ancient Chinese. In this world of cultivation, I can't even understand this couplet at all. I only saw a lot of things in my eyes, such as, order first, heaven, earth, and people. Like that. I thought I was at least a master level, even if I wasn't a king, but I never thought I was just bronze. In the midst of depression, inside the gate, the little senior sister who just walked out. Let's go in, he said, waving his hand at them. Li Fan and Wang Mai no longer stood and hurried towards the lobby inside. All the stones laid underground here are blue jade slabs. Although they are not marble, they have a more ancient and rustic charm than marble. Moreover, the stones on the ground are not as smooth as the Ming dynasty, but rather simple and unpolished, making walking and looking comfortable. After passing through the front gatehouse, screen wall, and an open-air well in the back, Li Fan looked at the front hall of the clutch hall. The house was 300 to 400 square meters in size, and there were no extra miscellaneous items. Only a statue of an ancestor, several incense burners, and a few cattails were placed on the ground. Apart from a few bright red pillars, there was nothing else around the hall. The window seems to be made of some kind of glass, emitting a 5-colored glow and imprinted on the ground in front of the hall, which is very beautiful. 007 Senior Sister by Ling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wang Mai and Li Fan were actually a little nervous in their hearts, especially Li Fan, who had some unknown secrets and was even more nervous. Not to mention, this is the practice hall of Senior Sister Bai and Senior Uncle Han. Even Senior Sister Bai Ling doesn't seem very easy. Li Fan is really worried that he won't be able to handle it. If a crab is exposed, he may have another first child after just crossing the earth for a few days. Fortunately, there is also Wang Mai. As long as he doesn't speak much, everything should be attributed to the amnesia caused by drowning, so there shouldn't be any major problems. Li Fan made up his mind like this, so he became less nervous. Follow Wang Mai to the front of Senior Sister Bai Ling and make a bow following his appearance. Senior Sister Bai, we are late. Please make amends, said Wang Mai. Why are you late? Bai Ling was sitting on a stone platform slightly higher than her head, with her eyes half open. Her voice was light and beautiful, sounding very comfortable. To her right was the purple kite standing beside her. It's like this, Senior Sister Bai. Junior brother Yu has a deep legacy after drowning, and there are many things he can't remember clearly. I asked him to rest for an extra day, thinking back on what happened that day, so he came late. Senior Sister Bai Ling was a bit puzzled when she heard this. The effect of the awakening pill has been proven to be long-lasting. In theory, in everything that happens to be enchanted by the incense, drowning coma, or nightmare technique, the awakening pill has a miraculous effect. If this small drowning leaves behind sequelae. If you don't believe it later. Wang Mai has always been loyal and respectful, and neither of them dared to deceive her. So I couldn't figure out the reason behind it for a moment. According to the theory, the awakening spirit pill has a miraculous effect. Drowning should not leave any lingering symptoms. However, since you are like Wang Mai, I don't think you have any reason to deceive me. Zun, take a shining spirit pill. Yes, Senior Sister. Zun bowed and turned to the cabinet in the corner to pick out a small bottle. She walked up to Bai Ling and held it in her hands. Bai Ling took it. Junior brother Yu, you can use this pill. Senior Sister Bai Ling poured out a brown pill from the blue small bottle and said to Li Fan in her right hand, although this pill is not easy to refine, human life is of paramount importance. We, Senior Uncle Han, have always been committed to saving the world and the people, so please take this pill. Upon hearing this, Yu Guan looked indifferent, just feeling magical. This medicine is really so effective. Can you restore your memory after taking it? Isn't it more advanced than all modern medical techniques? However, Wang Mai knew that this Jiao Shendan was not a simple upgrade to the Xingxindan. If we were to say that the function of the Xingxindan was probably to enhance the clarity of the gods for the user. In addition to sobering up the mind, this Jiao Shendan also has a magical effect of enhancing the body. It would take a lot of effort for a second-class disciple to obtain one. Now, as a third-class disciple of Yu Guan, he can get one for nothing, which can be considered very cheap. Wang Mai Xian said that this lesson for junior brother Yu was a blessing in disguise. Quickly asked Yu Guan to pick him up, but when he turned around and saw Yu Guan standing dumbfounded with no response, he nudged him and said, "Go ahead, take the pill." Yu Guan was reminded of this, and only then did he realize that senior sister Bai Ling's hand had been raised in the air for half a day, and that the pill had been stuck in her fair and radiant palm for half a day, and it was actually for him. This was when he realized, but he was not very familiar with the etiquette here. However, when he saw Ziyuan's appearance before, he followed suit and reached out with both hands to take the pill from senior sister Bai's hand. Then, he slowly bent down and retreated to his original position. "Thank you, senior sister Bai. You have taken it first. There is a futon here, so you can meditate for an hour. Later, let Ziyuan ask you a question, and you need to tell me the detailed situation at that time. It's not peaceful outside the mountain gate during this time, do you want to know?" Bai Ling's tone was quite mechanical, indicating that he didn't really care about the two of them, but felt something important about their affairs. Outside the mountain gate, there is no peace. Wang Mai was surprised when he heard this. Did senior sister Bai say that there are foreign enemies coming? You will know the details later, Bai Ling frowned and said, but it can be confirmed at the moment. Is the drowning of junior brother Yu related to outsiders? As far as I know, it's irrelevant. Wang Mai heard this and glanced at Li Fan. Junior brother Yu, you should answer this matter yourself after you have regained your memory. Li Bai understood Wang Mai's meaning. Most of his affairs were done by the person named Huko from the same sect, and there shouldn't be much to do with outsiders. Senior sister Bai Ling was worried that the disciples from other sects would cause trouble, which is why she valued his drowning so much and even offered to give him a divine pill to restore his memory. You can take the Jiao Shendan first and meditate by the palace for an hour, said Bai Ling. Li Fan agreed, yes. He picked up the pill and threw it into his mouth. When he was on Earth, he had to drink water to take it. This time, he was a bit uncomfortable swallowing it. I swallowed it for a while and even vomited it out. Bai Ling frowned and said to himself, the current 3 generations of disciples are really pussy. He asked Ziyuan to call a little girl and bring some water. Li Fan drank water and took it down. In no time, Li Fan's lower abdomen was warm, and he quickly sat on the cushion beside the palace, meditating in the same way as Tiangang Ju. I just felt that my lower abdomen was getting hotter and hotter, and something was jumping again. A warm airflow rose from my abdomen and spread all around my body. Based on the guidance method of the Heavenly Gang technique, I consciously guided this heat back to the due meridian. In no time, the hot air slowly rose and he felt the jade pillow and Baihui acupoints above his head. He closed his eyes and calmed down, feeling the hot air flowing around his brain. He felt his head was very comfortable, and after about half an hour of beating, the hot air on his head was steaming. Wang Mai saw it from the side, feeling both surprised and envious. Junior brother Yuguan's drowning this time can be said to be a blessing in disguise. Although this shining divine pill is not a top-grade heavenly treasure, it is also not easy to refine. For disciples of the third hall, if they cannot reach the intermediate level or above, they usually have to do a lot of things to eat one. Only by gaining the appreciation of the sect can they possibly achieve it. Now, Yuguan lost his memory, and senior sister Bai wanted to ask him a question because there have been external enemies disturbing the sect recently, so she gave him a shining pill. Although this kind of pill may not be a rare item for the disciples of the second hall, it is completely different for beginner disciples like him in the third hall. Li Fan was not very good at meditation at first, but at this moment, under the attention of senior sister by Ling, it would be bad if she showed any signs of carelessness. Otherwise, Yu Guan used to know how to meditate, but now he doesn't. It's suspicious, but fortunately he borrowed Yu Guan's body and has become accustomed to meditation in terms of physical muscles and muscles. Otherwise, if Li Fan were to meditate, he wouldn't be able to endure it. He only felt a slight soreness in his legs, but his body was warm. He didn't know what this Xiao Shindan was. Anyway, looking at Wang Mai's envious appearance, it should be a good thing. Since I have eaten it for myself, the teacher is not polite. It has always been beneficial for my body and cultivation. After meditating for over half an hour, suddenly, with a thud, Li Fan felt something in his brain being cleared. A large area of neuronal electricity was simultaneously released, causing his brain to feel a bit numb. However, this situation disappeared in a flash, and then all his memories came back. He suddenly remembered that one day, Yu Guan, the original divine soul of his body, went to fetch water for Hu Ku and others on behalf of Wang Mai. At the foot of the mountain, Hu Ku and others mocked him with their words. Yu Guan was upright, and he immediately clashed with the four of them in words, but couldn't beat them. Unexpectedly, the four of them completely disregarded their loyalty and punched and kicked him, pushing and shoving him too much. At that time, they were at the edge of the pool. Yu Guan accidentally stumbled and fell into the pool, but he had been a dry duck since childhood and couldn't swim. In shock, he struggled wildly. Originally intending to paddle towards the shore, but not wanting to paddle recklessly, the shore was getting further and further away. At first, Hu Ku and the four of them pointed at him and made fun of him. However, when they saw Hu Ku slowly sinking, they all panicked. However, by this time, he was already a bit far from the shore, and these people were not gentlemen. Seeing this situation, they had already dispersed in a hurry. Finally, Li Fan tossed around in the pool for a while, and after drinking enough water, he fainted. When he woke up again, what he saw was already the scene at the beginning of the book. Thanks to Wang Mai's timely arrival, otherwise, even if he were rescued, he would probably not have survived. Li Fan remembered this scene and still remembered the expressions on his face when the Hu guests mocked him. In the end, he saw his life in despair and ran away like that. Li Fan felt very unhappy in his heart. If this kind of thing were put in modern times, it could be considered a crime of manslaughter. Damn it, it's so despicable. Li Fan said in his heart. He remembered some past events, such as how he entered the Xuanji sect 3 years ago, how he didn't perform outstandingly, how he was assigned to do miscellaneous tasks, and how he was bossed around by others, making him an inconspicuous person. His family is a small resident of Sanin town, which is more than 300 miles away from here. They usually make a living by making incense candles, tin foil, etc. When Yu Guan was very young, he helped his parents with tasks such as wrapping tin foil, making incense plates, rolling yellow paper, and cutting red paper. These tasks did not require a lot of physical strength. Although Yu Guan was young, he could still do them very well. Among the regular customers in the shops, apart from those during the Qingming winter solstice when going to the grave, there are many virtuous men and women who buy incense and paper to pray for incense in the temple. Yu Guan has seen and been influenced by immortals and Buddhas since childhood, and he has developed a fondness for them. The people here are from all walks of life, from the poor and common people at the lower level to the high-ranking officials and officials at the upper level. Therefore, when Yu Guan was young, he paid attention to the social situation of the rich and poor, and gradually became more sensible than those children who knew they were naughty all day long. Once, as instructed by his mother, he went to a temple to deliver incense candles. The temple was a very effective one, and the incense was very prosperous. Therefore, he often came to his house in Yuguan to buy a large number of incense candles and items, and every month, there was a agreed-upon quantity of orders that needed to be delivered. This time, people need to send some incense candles to the temple, but unfortunately, the father of Yuguan is out for business. At home, there is no one to take care of. The person in charge is sick at home due to a minor illness. Yuguan's mother asked Yuguan to deliver it. After all, he was already 14 years old and had a physique that resembled an adult. He saw many people and was not afraid of others, so he was a bit reliable in handling things. So, Yuguan hired a laborer on the street, carrying 2 incense candles and some Buddhist supplies, and went to the temple. Before reaching the gate of the temple, I happened to encounter a local scoundrel teasing a young girl from a good family. After all, Yuguan was full of youthful energy, and he couldn't stand it at first, so he fell in love with him. Looking at him from the other side as a young adult, he laughed at him for being inexperienced and angry, so he started fighting. Those 2 scoundrels were actually just bullying the weak and fearing the hard. Seeing Yuguan so brave and there were so many people on the street, they dared not confront the enemy and left. The girl who was teased thanked Yuguan, but Yuguan just smiled. I didn't want all of this to be seen by Luo Ping, the steward of Xuanji sect, who was looking for disciples to cultivate here. So he asked people to follow him and saw that he had finished sending incense candles and did 1 or 2 good things on the way back. So in the evening, he came to visit and told their parents that Yuguan had a righteous nature. Xuanji sect once every 3 years, recruited disciples and asked if Yuguan's parents were willing to let Yuguan practice in Xuanji sect. Regardless of whether the cultivation is successful or not, after 6 years, one can return home to visit relatives and avoid all worldly matters such as marriage, childbirth, official career, and business. In addition, 3 taels of silver are given as gifts first. The parents of Yuguan heard that it was such a great family and a good thing for cultivating immortals. They have always believed in gods and Buddhas, so they readily agreed. Yuguan is overjoyed. After more than 10 days, Luo Ping searched for more than 30 young people in Wuxia town and sent them to the Xuanji sect together. At that time, Yuguan's father, because he was not at ease with Yuguan, personally took him to the mountain and stayed there for 3 to 5 days before leaving. Before leaving, I reminded Yuguan to cultivate a healthy life. You first entered the Xianxia hall with more than 30 disciples to become 3rd-class disciples, then tested their intelligence and practiced martial arts. 3 months later, the head of the hall gave them a grade for their intelligence, and asked each of them to choose a book from the secret mental methods of junior disciples to practice. Yuguan chose the Tiangang mental method, and after 1 or 2 years, the martial arts of Yuguan did not make much progress. After 3 years of assessment, Yuguan was still only a 3rd-class disciple with not much strength. Later, he was assigned to handle the affairs of this knowledgeable and miscellaneous worker. In fact, there is a lot of unwillingness in Yuguan's heart, but Yuguan is unable to cultivate properly. 3 years have passed, and I have only reached the 2nd level of Tiangang mind technique. This is probably the past of Yuguan entering the Xuanji sect and practicing. Li Fan suddenly remembered everything here. 008 Clear Rewards and Punishments. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although Li Fan remembered everything, considering that the medicinal effect of the Jiao Shendan could not be eliminated in one go. Without taking advantage of this hour of meditation, the medicinal effect would be greatly reduced. Therefore, Li Fan sat still, even if his legs were a bit sore. He absorbed all the medicinal effects of the Jiao Shendan, and only stopped after an hour. When he opened his eyes, he found that senior brother Wang Mai was also meditating with him, while senior sister Bai Ling didn't know where to go anymore. Only Ziyuan was meditating in the hall, and there was a little girl standing next to him holding a dust brush. It seems that they can't wait because their meditation time is too long, so let's meditate together. Li Fan looked at the scenery outside the window and it was already dusk. The little girl standing next to Ziyuan saw that Li Fan was awake, so she bent down and gently said something to Ziyuan. Ziyuan also slowly opened her eyes. Look at Li Fan. Are you awake? Has the memory ever been restored? Ziyuan has a goose egg-shaped face, delicate and graceful, and appears very gorgeous in the reflection of the sunset. Yes, Li Fan nodded and quickly stood up, bowing to answer, Sister Ziyuan, mine has completely recovered. I thank Sister Bai and Sister Ziyuan for their life-saving kindness and the virtue of giving medicine. Li Fan has regained his memory, of course. He has also remembered everything about Sister Bai's etiquette and language habits. So, upon hearing Ziyuan's question, he immediately bowed and agreed and replied, very much like a disciple in the cultivation world. Well, it seems that you have completely recovered. Ziyuan saw that Li Fan's words and actions were the same as those of Yu Guan before. The previous Yu Guan's speaking style was a bit impolite, and his behavior was also a bit strange. Now everything is right. So he also became happy. Wang Mai heard someone talking and continued to open his eyes. Junior brother Yu, please wait a moment, Ziyuan stood up and said before turning into the back hall. After a while, both senior sister Bai and her walked out. Junior brother Yu, have you regained your memory? Senior sister Bai Ling walked to the front of the lobby and sat on the futon, asking. Yes, senior sister Baoling. If senior sister has anything to say, feel free to ask me, I already remember it. Li Fan will definitely speak up to Hu Ke this time, so that he will receive the punishment he deserves. What exactly happened when you drowned? Asked senior sister Bai. Please provide more details. Yes, senior sister Bai. Li Fan bowed and said, more than 10 days ago, senior brother Wang Mai and I were busy with various affairs at the Jika Shaoshu. Suddenly, Hu Ke and Li De, along with 3 senior brothers, arrived and asked senior brother Wang for a bowl of tea to drink. Senior brother Wang offered it as a gift, but didn't want Hu Ke to take 2 sips and pour the tea on the ground, saying that the tea tasted bad and exuded a sense of arrogance. Senior brother Wang looked in his eyes and said, there is nothing precious to offer at the Shanmen Xiaoyi. Hu Ke, the senior brother, became angry and scolded Wang, saying, even if a lowly person drinks cheap tea, their life is also cheap. Senior Wang couldn't get angry for a moment, so he started arguing with him. When I heard the commotion outside in the inner room, I also came out to take care of it. At that moment, I argued with him a few times, which angered him. He and 3 other senior brothers, including Li De, beat up the 2 of us. We have low skills and are not opponents. Fortunately, at that time, senior brother Wang Ming and senior brother Li Baishu, 2 knowledgeable guests, arrived and dissuaded senior brother Hu. They even said they wanted to report this matter to the hall leader before they left. I thought this was over, but senior brother Wang Mai and I persevered and saved it. Unexpectedly, 3 days ago, Hu Ke and senior brother Li De came to the post office again to beg for tea. He said, last time was a misunderstanding. It wasn't because the tea was bad, but because the water quality was not good. He asked senior brother Wang Mai to go to the Bijou pond at the foot of the mountain to fetch water and boil tea. Senior brother Wang Mai went into the house to pick up a bucket of water, and when I asked about it, I thought that senior brother Hu Ke was behaving improperly, fearing that he would innocent and cause trouble to senior brother Wang Ming. Therefore, he volunteered and was willing to go on his behalf. Senior brother Wang Mai agreed. I picked a bucket and went down the mountain. Unexpectedly, at the foot of the mountain, they provoked me for no reason. I couldn't bear it for a moment and said, this is the place where the mountain gate cultivates. You are obstructing the rules and regulations. Senior brother Hu Ke became angry when he was told, and a few people came to push me. Unexpectedly, I accidentally stumbled and threw myself into the green bamboo pond. Unfortunately, I couldn't swim. I struggled a few times, but as I saw it sink, I panicked and wanted to shout. However, when I thought about how despicable Hu Ke and others were, I didn't make a sound. It was just a struggle with my hands waving wildly. I thought that although Hu Ke and others were despicable, in the end, I am a senior brother and disciple of the second hall, and I have some loyalty to my sect. They will definitely call for someone to come and save me. After a while, I lost consciousness, and later on, it was Sister Bai and Sister Ziyuan who saved me and woke me up, and then I became conscious. Bai Ling and Ziyuan furrowed their brows as they listened. Bai Ling angrily said, "Is such a disdainful disciple from the second hall? Ziyuan, do you know his background?" Ziyuan replied, "There is such a disciple, who is a disciple of the second hall and third level. He often behaves rudely and disrespectfully, and the disciple often hears about it. However, he didn't expect that this time he almost ended up losing his life. We can't just let him go so casually this time. Master usually detests such people the most. We cannot ignore punishment. Please have Senior Sister Bai make a decision." Upon hearing this, Senior Sister Bai became less angry and said, "Let me clarify and let them have nothing to say." She then turned her head to Wang Mai and asked, "Junior brother Wang, is there anything false about what junior brother you just said?" Wang Mai heard him ask and quickly said, "No, what junior brother you said is true. Even if Master is here, I can guarantee and testify." That's great." Bai Ling nodded at the words and turned to ask Ziyuan, "Ziyuan junior sister, what do you think should be done about this matter?" "Senior sister, life is at stake, it's unusual. Moreover, the sect seems to have been targeted by outsiders during this period, and many disciples have been attacked. This matter should be reported in detail to Master and Uncle Lu." "Well, I think the same way," Bai Ling nodded upon hearing the words. "But unfortunately, Master hasn't been at the mountain gate lately. How about that? I think it's better to find a few capable senior brothers and call Hukou and Li De into the clutch hall, capture them on the spot, and lock them in the stone chamber for now. When the Master comes back, we can send them off separately. This way, this kid won't run away," Ziyuan said in Bai Ling's ear. "Well, that's it. You go arrange it first." Bai Ling's expression was cold and stern. "Yes, Senior Sister," Ziyuan responded with a clasped fist. Li Fan and Wang Mai were on the side, each with an excited expression on their faces. They didn't expect Senior Sister Bai Ling to be so swift and decisive. Before, they were afraid that Uncle Han wouldn't be at the mountain gate and wouldn't be able to take Hukou. They didn't want Bai Ling to fight at any time, so they were not hesitant. It is clear that he is only 2 years older than himself, but in terms of prestige, he is much stronger than Li Fan and Wang Mai. "Junior brother Yu and junior brother Wang, don't leave yet. You can testify in person at the clutch hall," Bai Ling said to Li Fan and the others. "Well, yes," Li Fan and Wang Mai agreed. "I am very happy in my heart. I can see with my own eyes that Hukou was caught by Senior Sister Bai Ling. It was such a delightful scene to think of." However, after a while, Ziyuan came in with more than 10 teachers and sisters, all of whom were women. Arranged on the back hall and beam platform. The balcony is a place where large windows can be opened, and you can go up the stairs from the side of the hall to close the windows. "Wait a moment, let's take action together and don't let them run away." Senior Sister Bai Ling instructed, "Ziyuan, you can personally bring someone to call them over." Yes, Senior Sister Ziyuan brought people to Hukou's residence and knocked on the door. Hukou and others were actually scared out of their wits. After they were surprised and fled the day before yesterday, they had been worried about the punishment of the hall master's deacon. However, after waiting for 2 days, there was no news. Later, when they asked someone to inquire, it turned out that Yu Guan was not dead yet. They breathed a sigh of relief. After all, if this matter went too far, it could be a serious crime of massacring fellow disciples. They ran away at that time, only scared and couldn't remember wanting to save someone. Besides, he looked down on such a slut in his heart, so how could he think of rescuing him? So, these past few days have been quite frightening. Walking, eating, and practicing martial arts, I trembled with fear when I saw my senior brother urging them to practice. However, they also heard that the boy from Yuguan had lost his memory. He was originally happy and thought he had escaped the disaster. Unexpectedly, Ziyuan came to us again at this time. It's definitely not a good thing. However, it's also impossible. Ziyuan is a first-order disciple of Xuanwu Hall, and currently serves as the deputy deacon of the main hall. Whether in terms of strength or status, it's impossible for him to confront him. Hu Ku, Li De, and 4 others all had a look of fear on their faces, with an ugly expression. In no time, all 4 main criminals arrived and were taken to the front of the clutch hall. Hu Ku and Li De were all frightened and knelt down. When bowing to Baoling, he was a bit nervous. Baoling angrily asked, as disciples of the Xuanji sect, you are often taught diligently by your master. How dare you bully your fellow disciples for no reason, and even almost caused death? What else do you have to say now? Hu Ku originally intended to argue a little bit, but when he saw 4 first-order disciples of Xuanwu Hall standing behind Baoling, he didn't dare to even speak his sophistry. Li De kowtowed directly and said, we are just playing with junior brother Yu. I don't want junior brother Yu to not understand water nature and not do anything for us. Upon hearing Li De's words, the other 2 quickly exclaimed, yes, yes, please forgive senior sister Baoling. Humph, I know all about your usual misconduct. There's no need to argue at this time, Ziyuan said. Fortunately, junior brother Yu's life is not in big trouble. However, if it weren't for me and senior sister Bai who happened to return to the mountain and save junior brother Yu, his life would have been unlucky. Your sins cannot be forgiven. Yes, yes, junior brother Yu is blessed with good fortune and will not die. Li De is quite eloquent, and when he saw that what Ziyuan said was beneficial to them, he began to apologize. It was just a momentary mistake, and there was no intention of causing death or harm. Humph, that's what I said. But your disgust really goes against the fundamental principles of cultivators. Moreover, it concerns human life, and it's not something ordinary that I can handle. Ling said with anger on his face, someone, take it down. I'll send it out again when the master comes back. Several female disciples of the second hall and first rank behind Ling drew their swords and jumped out, tying up Hu Ku and Li De on the spot, capturing them, and locking them up. Li Fan could see clearly from the angle and felt very happy in his heart. Senior sister Ling acted decisively, with clear right and wrong. There was a strange feeling in her heart, as if Ling was more beautiful than those modern beauties. Watching them take the 4 of them away, Wang Ming felt a sense of relief in his heart. As expected, Baoling was not satisfied. Junior brother Yu, have you decided on this matter? Ziyuan asked Qianlai. When master returns to the mountain, come and listen to the judgment. I'll give you a fair treatment. Yes, Sister Ziyuan. Li Fan bowed and said, thank you very much to Sister Baoling and Sister Ziyuan for seeking justice for us. This is a matter within my generation, thank you very much. Ziyuan's expression was actually cold. After all, this is still their business. It's not that good for Li Fan, a third-class disciple. Brother Wang and Brother Yu, you can go back first. If master returns to the mountain, I will inform you to come and hear the lawsuit. Yes, senior sister Ziyuan. Li Fan and Wang Mai bowed again. Then the 2 slowly withdrew from the clutch hall. 009 Smart Meatballs. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Li Fan and Wang Mai both came down the mountain, and it was already very late. They carried a lantern, which was given to them by Ziyuan. Along the way, Li Fan looked around the terrain to see if there was any quieter place. He could call out the spirit-body spirit of the food Jade Plaque. His shabby mansion was not very good, and it was not very convenient with senior brother Wang Mai nearby. He needed to find another place with a better environment, and he was alone, so he could ask about things. At that moment, we personally returned to the customer service center, extinguished the lantern, lit the kerosene lamp, and Wang Mai read a book. He said, I'm tired today and should rest early. Then I'll lie down and go to bed first. Li Fan didn't do much during the day, and his heart was still thinking about the matter of the merit Jade plaque. Although he was a bit tired, he still supported it. Wait for senior brother Wang Mai to fall asleep. Sitting alone on the bed, following the previous method, with a calm and sincere heart, reciting the Jade plaque of merit. After a few more minutes, he finally calmed down. With just a shout, his spirit ran into his own body. Oh, finally it's here again. Li Fan was overjoyed in his heart. You bad kid. How did you come? Ling seemed to be waiting for him, saying with a smile. Oh my, I'll go. This child can't be polite when talking. If it weren't for seeing that he's a skilled tool, I really want to beat her up. Can't you be polite when you talk? I'm your master now. Li Fan said rudely. And by the way, how old are you? You speak so confidently, like an old lady. In fact, when Li Fan said this, he was deliberately infusing the Jade spirit. Unexpectedly, Ling's face changed immediately upon hearing this. What? Old lady. How dare you call me old? Her serious attitude startled Li Fan. Isn't it just a joke? As for being so angry. Originally, Li Fan thought this way, but suddenly, upon reflection, he realized that the old man had lived for tens of thousands of years, and this Jade plaque carried him for at least a few thousand years. Even if it wasn't for a few thousand years, it would have been for at least a few hundred years. In case the appearance of this spiritual Jade was simply a transformation, not its true age. That means she's old. Isn't that right? It doesn't seem like she's pretending to be angry. Is it really being said right? I'll go, mommy. Lin Fan felt a bit dangerous. He remembered the last time he was struck by this girl with lightning. Although it was just a small thunder, it also made his head and face scorched. I'm very unhappy. How old are you? Li Fan quickly asked himself to excuse himself, indicating that he really didn't know her age and didn't really say she was old. Look at you like this, you're only 10 years old, right? It was indeed clever. Humph. You big bastard. Ling put on a cute look like a little adult and smiled. It's too late to pretend now. Ah. What's pretending to be garlic? I don't have it. Li Fan quickly said. Do you really look like you're 7 or 8 years old? Nervous, 2 years younger. Humph. The little girl turned her head disdainfully upon hearing this, knowing in her heart that it was Li Fan's words of remembrance. I couldn't find any flaws in my language, so I could only silently ignore him. Upon seeing this, Li Fan quickly changed the topic and said, by the way, where's your sister? Why didn't she come out? You want to see my sister, just call her. Is shouting useful here? Li Fanqi said strangely. Of course there is. Baoling, Li Fan shouted with a try-and-see attitude. Sure enough, a figure floated out of the darkness and walked in to see that it was Ling Yu's sister Baoling. Baoling has seen his master. Baoling acted more seriously and slowly approached, giving Li Fan a deep blessing and saying, I don't know what your master has to say. Well, Li Fan didn't know how to repay the gift when she saw the situation, and was at a loss for 3 seconds. However, thinking that she was the owner of the 2 girls, she didn't care about that anymore. Anyway, she wouldn't argue with herself. I want to improve my understanding of the heavenly gang mind technique, Li Fan said. Is there any good way? The heavenly gang mind technique is the introductory mind technique of the Earth Branch Xuanji sect, and the foundation is the most important. The young master can read and think more in order to understand. The mind technique is not inferior to weapons, magic treasures, and other external objects that can be borrowed, and the master needs to work hard and specialize in it. Baoling Huan said. Oh, I don't know what you're saying, Li Fan interrupted Baoling with a wave of his hand. I just can't understand those mental techniques, so I came to ask you to come up with a solution. If only there were any pills that could make people smarter. Is there something like that in the merit Jade plaque? Master, pulling out seedlings to promote growth is not the way to cultivate immortality. It's better for the master to think twice, and such pills to increase comprehension are generally expensive. Upon hearing this, Baoling said. Li Fan heard that the pill to increase his comprehension was expensive, and he didn't know how much it was. He was thinking about it, but when he turned his head, he saw the little girl Ling Yu grinning mischievously and said angrily, "Little girl, why are you laughing?" "I laugh at you for being too stupid." Ling covered her mouth and smirked. "Need to eat smart meatballs." Do you really have this kind of meatball?" Li Fan heard about it and immediately became interested. Hee, no, I'm lying to you," Ling smiled. "Because you're a fool." When I went, Lin Fan became very angry upon hearing these words. "You little girl, come and play with me again." Li Fan jumped up and wanted to go fight Yu Ling. Yu Ling saw this and shrunk his head into the merit Jade card, but Lin Fan couldn't hit it. "Oh." Li Fan smiled when he saw this, "I know now. So you're not called Yuling, you're a shrinking-headed turtle." "Ha, you're still a green-headed turtle that can shrink its head." "You." Upon hearing these words, Yuling immediately jumped out of the Jade plaque, clearly feeling a bit angry. "Do you dare to scold me?" As he raised his hand, a faint thunder appeared on Li Fan's head, as if it was about to fall. "How about it?" Li Fan went all out for a while now. This little girl really lacks training. Even if she tries to be struck by lightning, she must make up her mind to deal with her once. "I'm your master." Yuling's hand was raised in mid-air, and the wind and thunder were rolling faintly, but she dared not strike again. After pouting for a while, she suddenly put down her hand and burst into tears. She threw herself into Lingbao's arms and cried, "Sister, she bullied me." Li Fan laughed heartily at the sight, "Ha ha ha, it was so satisfying. I didn't expect this little girl to cry when she was angry. Thinking of the days when she used to tease me, I feel really happy." Baoling comforted Yuling for a moment and said to Li Fan, "Master, you don't have to mind. There is actually a pill that can temporarily increase intelligence." "Ah." Li Fan was stunned upon hearing this. "Do you really have this kind of meatball?" "Yes, my little sister's words are not right. Please forgive me, young master." Lingbao bowed to Li Fan again and said, "This pill is called the Ayir Tongming pill. It is a pill that can increase reading and memory, and is commonly known as the smart pill. Ah, really? Li Fan became curious when he heard that there really was such a magical pill. "How many merits should I buy one of these pills? What is the specific effect?" Baoling smiled slightly and said, "Please take a few steps back, young master. The little girl will show the Jade plaque of food to the young master." "Fu de yu pai." Li Fan was taken aback at the words. The merit Jade plaque was green, so what color is the merit Jade plaque? What is the different function from the merit Jade plaque? Li Fan is also very curious. Li Fan retreated, and with a wave of his hands, Baoling saw a blue Jade plaque in front of him, which was about the same size as the green one, and was engraved with golden seal script. The format and style were identical to those of the merit Jade plaque. Baoling waved his hand again, and all of Li Fan's account information were displayed in front of him. Li Fan, transversal, food. 3001 instructions for use. Food is different from merit. Food can be used at any time during the day and appears in the right hand. Food can buy and sell many substances. Even directly monetized into money. But what food can buy mainly are secular gold, silver, jewelry, clothing, and all things, but he cannot buy spiritual techniques, secret books, treasures and other cultivation items. This is different between merit and Jade plaques. Food can be exchanged with merit, but it is only possible if both Yuling and Baoling agree. If they do not agree, the exchange cannot be made. Ah. After reading this explanation, Li Fan roughly meant that this food a jade plaque, like the merit jade plaque, has many commodities, but they are all secular things, such as gold, silver, jewelry, and so on. The only thing that cannot be purchased is secrets, magic treasures, and other cultivation items. Forget it, anyway, I already have a merit jade plaque and can buy things related to cultivation. If food jade also buys and sells these, it would be boring. This food a jade plaque can only buy secular things. Li Fanqi said strangely, what's the use of that? Upon hearing these words, Baoling felt blessed and said, young master, you cannot say that. The food you pai is in charge of the blessings and misfortunes of the human world, and all the blessings and misfortunes of the human world can be investigated without any difference. Purchasing worldly things is just one of its abilities. Moreover, the good use of worldly things can also bring great benefits to Shojin. Young master, don't you hear that cultivators need the 4 conditions of Dharma, wealth, and land? What kind of wealth making green space? Li Fan didn't understand these and looked bewildered. It's not a green space for wealth. Baoling patiently explained to Li Fan, seeing that he didn't understand. It's the method of practice, the financial resources of practice, the path of practice, and the heaven and earth of practice. Among these 4, obtaining the method is the most difficult. Although there are many methods, finding a suitable method for oneself and meeting a master who is willing to teach you the method can be said to require great fate. If there is no good fate, it will be difficult to encounter for 1,000 years. This is the first. Obtaining the method is also difficult. Secondly, it is difficult to obtain the method. Generally, ordinary people have incomplete clothing and food, let alone the waste of alchemy and meditation. Is it because most ordinary people are unwilling to practice? For this reason, wealth is also difficult. Thirdly, practicing is lonely, and there are often those who meditate for several years without seeing a single person and do not speak a word, which is the most difficult. If there are Taoist couples who can talk, discuss the Tao, learn from each other, and benefit together, it is a great help. Even some dual cultivation methods can do married things without losing worldly pleasure, which is even more difficult than sitting alone and meditating. Fourthly, it is difficult to find a quiet place with abundant spiritual energy. In general locations, with sparse spiritual energy and the hustle and bustle of the secular world, meditation is no longer easy, and it is even more difficult to improve one's martial arts skills. The cave is a blessed land with endless spiritual energy gathering, making it a natural treasure trove of feng shui. Those who practice it can achieve twice the result with half the effort. So, the 4 points of wealth and land in this Dharma are necessary conditions for practitioners. Even if they cannot achieve all 4 points, they should try their best to achieve 3 or 2 of them. In this way, practice will be much easier. Oh. So it's like this. Li Fan listened for a while and it was quite interesting. However, he still doesn't quite understand the profound meaning, after all, he is a beginner. So what does this have to do with the food jade plate? Baoling said, with the food a jade plaque, doing good deeds can also increase fooda. Fooda can be directly exchanged for wealth, so wealth is not a worry and Taoist priests are easy to find. Isn't it not cost-effective? Moreover, it can also provide relief to the world and increase merit, which can be said to be a win-win situation. Ah, yes, I didn't expect it. Upon hearing this, Li Fan finally came to his senses. Even if he did public welfare work like the people on earth before, he believed he had some merit. If his merit could increase, he could also buy treasures and secrets. With this thought, he suddenly felt smooth and comfortable. Li Fan realized this and was immediately overjoyed, laughing and dancing happily. Sister, Ling couldn't help but chuckle when she saw Li Fan's appearance, crazy. Ling Fan glared at her in anger and didn't argue with her. Quickly check out the food jade plaque. Finally, in the timeliness category, I found the eye-ear brightening pill and took a closer look. The introduction is as follows. Increase the user's intelligence and memory, with a 50% improvement in auditory ability and a 50% improvement in visual acuity. Lasts for 3 hours. Memory permanently increases by 1%. Selling price. 50 points worth 1 food. Recycling price. 35 Ford value. When Li Fan saw this, he cursed and secretly cursed in his heart. He thought to himself that his eyesight was only for seeing clearly, and his hearing was of no use to his comprehension. As for enhancing his memory, what is the use? Can't you understand? Master, Baoling saw the situation and knew what Li Fan was thinking. She suggested, Master, although increasing memory is not of great use, if you can memorize all these secret techniques and understand them constantly, they will have extraordinary effects in the long run. Li Fan was taken aback at the words and endorsed, don't mention it. When Li Fan was studying before, his teacher mentioned this learning method. After memorizing it, he could read at any time, so he naturally had a lot more time to read. It's not as inconvenient as holding a physical book. You can give it a try. Li Fan thought to himself, but he still prefers direct and understandable pills that enhance his understanding. I heard it was very expensive before, and he doesn't know how expensive it is. So I always wanted to see it for myself. Li Fan walked up to the edge of the merit jade plaque on his own, pressed it with his hand, meditated, and opened the jade plaque. With a loud bang, 10,000 green lights appeared again, making Li Fan extremely comfortable. Li Fan's asset situation and commodity column appeared again. Li Fan now has 5,001 merits. I don't know if it's more or less, it shouldn't be more. After all, Li Fan didn't do much good in his previous life. So, most of the items in the product list are displayed as non-purchasable. However, the item and price information of those products can still be freely queried. Hello, little girl. Li Fan wanted to go back early to meditate and improve the level of Tiangang mind technique, so he didn't want to go straight to find it. Instead, he asked Ling, what page is the pill for increasing comprehension? Oh, that one. On the last page, Ling said with a smile upon hearing the words. Li Fan opened the product interface and saw that the first page was about comprehension products. With a sigh of relief, he couldn't help but turn around and glare at Ling. Ling covered her mouth with both hands and smiled happily. I don't care about him either. Li Fan didn't have time to pay attention to her, so he had to turn around and continue to check. There were many pills and props to increase his understanding, and even techniques on the first page. I saw that the first one was a pill called Divine Understanding Pill. The price was actually 5,000 merit points per pill, and the effect was to permanently increase the user's acquired understanding power by 10 points. Damn it, it's really expensive, Li Fan thought to himself. All his wealth can only buy one of these pills, which can increase his intelligence by 10. The effect is unlikely to be of great use. Li Fan has seen several other items, such as the Enlightenment Mind Technique and the Heavenly Induction Lock. These items are not cheap, and the increased enlightenment is only between 10 and 30. Hey, Li Fan sighed for a moment, it seems there is no cheap thing to increase his understanding. But looking back, after careful consideration, I think it's normal for items of intelligence to be sold so expensive. Otherwise, everyone has superior talent. Isn't that the magical technique that everyone can learn? So, upon thinking about it, he became calm and composed. Li Fan finally made up his mind to buy the Eye-Ear Bright pill, also known as the Smart pill. Anyway, it has a time limit and can be used to see the effect. Ding, system prompt. Your food has been reduced by 100 points. Obtain 2 eye and ear brightening pills. Because it's the first time shopping, the system offers a professional space storage strap as a gift. 010 reaped huge rewards. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Alright, I have what I need. Li Fan looked at Baoling and said, do you have any suggestions for me? I want to increase my skills and strength as soon as possible. The young master, Baoling, saw Li Fan asking her this question and said, when the old master was approaching immortality, he also reminded us to provide detailed assistance. I suggest that the young master purchase some basic pills and practical things to comprehensively enhance his strength and enter the third class and first level disciples. Well, I just don't know what to buy. Can you two give me some advice on this? Li Fan smiled, especially Miss Yuling, besides scolding me every time, it's really useless. If you want something useful, just find my sister. Jiao Yuling was unhappy after hearing this, I'm stupid and useless. She let go of her sister's palm and ran into the merit Jade plaque at an extremely fast speed, so fast that it was indistinguishable to the naked eye. Why is this little girl running so fast? Li Fan exclaimed in surprise. Baoling leaned slightly and smiled, saying, Yuling and I are both artifact souls, essentially belonging to the category of ghosts. Of course, our behavior is not visible to humans. What? Li Fan was startled when he heard this. Ghost-like. Suddenly, his back felt a little cold. The feeling of. Young master, don't be afraid. Baoling bowed and said, although we are ghosts, we have been practicing with the old master for a long time, and our skills have improved. We have long refined the yin and sha qi, and we are already a semi-divine body. We are no different from ghosts and immortals like city god and judges. Young master, there is no need to be alarmed. Oh, it turns out that's the case. It's no different from a judge or something like that. Is it the same level as the kitchen god in our hometown? Li Fan recalled a story he had heard before. Every family had a kitchen god. That's right, Baoling smiled. In fact, the two of them have been following that old man for thousands of years, and their bodies have long been trained into earthly immortals. They call themselves ghost immortals, but they are still using humble language, just to reduce Li Fan's doubts. Yuling, that girl has left, so I have to ask Baoling Sister to introduce two useful things, Li Fan asked Baoling. Young master, there's no need to give orders, I naturally understand. Baoling bowed slightly and gave a blessing upon hearing this. Although she guided Li Fan to buy a lot of things, and he didn't know what it was, he felt that they were all relatively cheap and the quantity was considerable. This pile of things is of no use. Until Li Fan's merit value decreased to 1001 points, Baoling stopped buying things and said to Li Fan, young master, these things are all for healing, increasing power, and other maintenance supplements. Young master has been drowning for a long time, and his body has been damaged. In addition, the divine soul has just entered this shell, and fusion is not easy. Therefore, the main focus is to cultivate the foundation and strengthen the element, increase the integration between the body and the divine soul, and also increase the physical strength and stamina of the young master. Doing miscellaneous tasks will not be tiring, and more time can be left for cultivation and reading. For young master, it is currently the best. Li Fan said, this is very thoughtful. Li Fan felt a bit grateful to Baoling in his heart. So he thanked her and said, thank you very much, Baoling. Baoling's body was slightly blessed. I'm leaving now. What should I do if I don't know the usage of these things? Li Fan suddenly remembered this question after Baoling stepped down. When I bought these things just now, it was Baoling who bought them for him. He also didn't carefully read the introduction and explanation. So I don't even know how to use these things specifically. However, Baoling has already retreated, and the girl from Yuling is hiding again, what should we do? A little girl's voice rang out. Li Fan heard what seemed to be the voice of Yuling and immediately became happy. Little girl, what are you humming? Hello Sister Baoling, you can go find Sister Baoling. Yuling's voice came from the merit Jade plaque with a hint of immaturity. Li Fan was speechless for a moment. He had never encountered such a stingy deity before. In fact, he had also encountered a deity for the first time. The stingy energy was even stronger than that of a human. You're pretty good too, okay? Tell me quickly how to use these things. Otherwise, if I don't know how to use them, I'll just call your sister back. Just save some trouble, maybe let your sister scold me. After a moment of silence, Li Fan felt that the little girl was probably thinking. Sure enough, after a few seconds, a voice came out. Okay, I'll help you this time. Speak up quickly. After waiting for a long time, Ling remained silent. When Li Fan thought this little girl was playing with him again, a piece of paper flew out of the merit jade plaque. Li Fan went up and picked it up to take a look. Originally, it was a detailed list of the names, usage instructions, and prices of all items. Ding, your merit is reduced by 1 point. I'll give you some merit as a reward. Ling's voice came from the merit jade plaque once again. Damn it, Li Fan couldn't help but curse, it's really dark. Copying and pasting like this requires 1 merit point, right? What is copying and pasting? Ling leaned out with a puzzled expression on her face. I made it using magic. If you don't want it, I won't care about it next time. Besides, it's only a little money, you're such a stingy person. Oh, okay. Li Fan also felt a little unhappy when he heard her call him a stingy person. 1 o'clock is 1 o'clock, and this is the price from now on. You can't raise the price. Here, Ling pulled down her eyelids with one hand, tongue stuck out, and made a cute face at her, then put it inside the merit jade plaque. Little girl. You're quite good at doing business. Li Fan looked at this exquisitely decorated paper note and smelled a faint aroma of bamboo in his nose. It turned out that this was made of bamboo pulp. For the sake of this bamboo note being well made, let's not argue about it. Li Fan held the bamboo paper in his arms, gathered his spirit, and said to himself, go back. After reciting it more than 10 times, he let out a shout and his consciousness returned to his eyes. When I opened my eyes, it was still the old and dilapidated cabin. In front of me is still the kerosene lamp. Turning his head, he glanced at Senior Wang Mai and saw that he was sleeping soundly. It will definitely not be discovered. Li Fan took out the storage bag and the bamboo note with the item information from his arms. It was really amazing. He didn't expect these things to grow or shrink as he pleased. When he was a divine soul, these things were in this proportion, but when he returned to reality, these things were still in this proportion. Li Fan couldn't understand what the principle was, and could only understand it as the vast magical power of immortals. First, I took a look at the storage bag, which was embroidered with a dragon and 6 phoenixes, and embedded with a pearl in the middle, making it quite exquisite. There are a few lines of small characters behind it. When Li Fan looked at the lamp, he wrote. The Lingming storage bag has a small realm of over 3,000 square meters inside, which can store all things. It was obtained by compressing 3,000 square kilometers of space in a different world, with abundant spiritual energy inside. The storage will not rot for thousands of years, ensuring quality and freshness. If you want to enhance and transform its internal space, you can use space-type magic weapons to cast spells. Usage. Put the item close to the storage bag, store and take it out with your mind. The storage bag has a certain level of spiritual awareness and will not be open to strangers. If worn with you for a long time, it can also increase some luck. The method of locking the safety is to apply a little blood to the pearl in the middle, and then the bag will not be opened for the second person. Li Fan saw that there was still blood dripping. Where could he get it? He had no choice but to walk to the kitchen and lightly tap his arm with a kitchen knife, finally producing some blood. Apply it on that pearl. In no time, the pearl shone 3 times. Then the button with a puncture fell off on its own. Oh, Li Fan was surprised. It turns out that it is still so intelligent, truly a storage bag with spirituality. Li Fan reached out to the bag and didn't know how to pick up the things. Is it still using the mind? By the way, what did I buy? Li Fan picked up the bamboo paper and saw that the first line on it read. Dragon and Tiger Bone Strengthening Pill, effect. Permanently increases the user's life by 10 points, price 10 points, merit, recover 7 points. That's it. Li Fan placed his hand on the button of the storage belt, meditating intently. With a shout, a pill flew into his hand, which was the Dragon and Tiger Bone Strengthening Pill. Why does he remember it? Because he was the first to buy something lost, he was the most memorable, and when he bought more things later, he didn't have much impression. So, I didn't expect to succeed. But this method of retrieving things is inevitably too slow. I have to regulate my breath and calm down every time. If my heart cannot calm down for a while and I need to use items immediately, wouldn't it be funny? Is there any other way to turn on this thing? Li Fan studied the buttons on the edge of the storage strap. This storage strap is a typical style of sachet, but inside it is invisible to the naked eye. It is dark and has two black and white bamboo interlocking in the bag, and his hand cannot reach in. I wonder if shouting directly is useful. Just like Baoling Sister Baoling, shout 3 times and she will appear. Thinking of this, Li Fan whispered 3 times to the storage bag, Dragon and Tiger Bone Strengthening Pill, Dragon and Tiger Bone Strengthening Pill, and Dragon and Tiger Bone Strengthening Pill. Dribbling, a pill rolled down from the bag and happened to fall onto the table. It was the Dragon and Tiger Bone Strengthening Pill. Haha. Li Fan burst out laughing at the sight and didn't expect to succeed. Ha! However, his burst of laughter sounded abrupt in the middle of the night, as he felt his senior brother Wang Mai roll over behind him. Li Fan quickly covered his mouth with his own hand. Don't let yourself laugh out loud. It turns out it's really useful, I'm really a genius. After a successful attempt, Li Fan was inspired and looked at everything on the bamboo paper. There were a total of 26 items. 5 Dragon Tiger Bone Strengthening Pills. Main function. Increase Qi and blood. 5 White Bone Sleeping Pills. Its main function is to nourish essence and strengthen the kidney. Take 5 pieces of Kingaesai. The main function is to increase the lightness of the body. 10 Hercules Pills. Main function. Increase strength. Take 10 Xianxia 3 Climbing Pills. Main function. To ventilate and replenish qi, and regulate menstrual blood. 15 Xiaoyao Pills. The main function is to increase the power of the Xuanji sect. Take 10 Double Yellow Drinks. Main function. Calm the mind and relieve fire and poison. 15 Deer Crowing Pills. Main function. Temporarily significantly increases physical strength and skill. Out of 10, I saw 10. Main function. Increase listening and sensing abilities. 10 pieces of Jinchuang powder. Main effects. Raw meat and tendons, a good medicine for external injuries. A Qingming sword, a soft inner armor, and a pair of cloud-stepping boots. 5-step Divine Thunder 10. Belonging to a hidden weapon, it can be used to crush enemies in times of crisis. 3 Exorcism Talismans, 3 Awakening Talismans, 3 Divine Charismans, 6 Killing Talismans, 3 Pieces, 3 Thunder Emblems, Juhua Fu Sanzhong, 3 Ice Melting Talismans, Jia 2 Fu Sanzhong, Xingmu Fu Sanzhong, 3 Soul Summoning Talismans, 3 Undead Talismans, Li Shen Fu Sanzhong, 3 Puppet Talismans. Li Fan used voice control to shout twice and found it quite useful, but the sound was a bit loud, causing senior brother Wang Mai to flip over again. Li Fan suddenly realized that if there were any special circumstances in reality, such as the current situation, where he was not allowed to make sound, using his mind to retrieve objects would be the best method. Therefore, after controlling his voice twice, Li Fan focused on practicing the method of using his mind to retrieve objects. At first, he didn't have very good control. It often takes half a minute or more than 10 seconds to retrieve something. However, after practicing for more than half an hour, he has become more and more proficient in using his mind to retrieve things. Now, he can achieve the ability to retrieve things in about 3 seconds. Although Li Fan's body is a bit tired now, his soul feels very fulfilled. Then Li Fan took out some non-temporary pills and took 2 or 3 of them. He didn't realize later that there might be conflicting properties, so it's better not to take them together. The usage of the medicine also states that it should not be taken too much at once, and only 1 pill per day is allowed. It is also prohibited to consume it together with other medicines. I took 3 different medications right from the beginning, and now I can only pray that these 3 medications are not mutually exclusive. Otherwise, its troubles would be huge. Finally, he took out the soft leather armor and looked at it twice. He found it to be very good. Although it looked soft, it seemed to be less likely to be punctured by hard objects such as swords. Moreover, it was made of leather, which was very warm. Now that the weather was a bit cold, he casually put it on his body, which was warm and self-defense. Then he tidied up the other things, blew out the oil lamp, and lay down to sleep.